Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, October the 5th, 2024 at 9 a.m. in the Russell County Board of Supervisors room. I'd like to first do call of order and roll call. Andrew Hensley.
Here.
Luann Wallace.
Here.
Tara Dye.
Here.
David Eaton. Here. Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Nate Kaiser.
Here.
And Steve Breeding.
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. First of all, we're going to have the invocation. If you'd stand after the invocation, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Our attorney should be here. He's on his way, so he'll be here shortly.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you this day, Lord, and just thank you, Lord, for who you are and what you're doing for our area, God, and the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. God, we just want to ask blessings upon our first responders, our sheriff's officers, our, Lord, all the ones that's been participating in this event, God, that's happened to our area. Lord, we pray blessings on those that have been affected worse than we have. God, we just ask, Lord, that you put your hand upon these people. God, that you bless them, that you help them. And Lord, I just ask blessings upon these leaders that represent the county, God, that you bless them and help us to make the right decisions. God, I ask that for those that are still suffering and hurting, God, that you give them a touch of compassion and love, Lord, and just reach down and help them in a mighty way. And Lord, I just ask all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started on the agenda, I want to take just a couple minutes and make some comments, particularly about the people who have jumped in and helped during this storm damage that we've had here recently. I know that the county administrator and the emergency services people and the towns and everybody were early on in the week were planning and trying to get ready for whatever this storm was going to bring us. In fact, I sit in on a state meeting where some of the state authorities had told us that if the path of the storm continued the way they had projected it to come ashore, it looked like we could be very close to the eye of the storm. So when Helena hit Florida, it was late Thursday evening. It came as a Category 4 hurricane with 140 mile per hour winds, and it kind of quickly moved across that little stretch of Florida in the panhandle there and went into Georgia. And about the time it hit into Georgia, they downgraded it to a Cat 1. And it kind of did a little shift from that northeasterly direction that they projected it in back to a northerly direction. And by the time it had moved on up towards coming out of Georgia and heading into the North Carolina area, it did another shift more to the northwest. So it went from northeast, northwest. And it kind of turned across, I guess, the western portion of North Carolina, down in the Asheville area, and East Tennessee. And it sort of shot from there, kind of across that section of Tennessee towards Bowling Green, Kentucky. Wasn't too far from Dollywood, Pigeon Forge, Knoxville, but it went through that stretch between Knoxville and Nashville. So, you know, we dodged a bullet, frankly. You know, if it hadn't been for that direction shift, we could have, you know, our areas could have looked a lot like the town of Asheville, Damascus. It's hard to say what would happen if it'd come into our area. Even before the storm hit, these guys were planning and trying to get prepared on what was going to be done. I know that the sheriff's office, the fire departments, the rescue squads, emergency service personnel, all the town personnel were working on getting prepared for this storm. And even before the storm ended on Friday, these people were out getting ready to get in the field and trying to see what kind of do damage assessment and trying to figure out what we needed to try to get things taken care of. I'm told that the 911 emergency calls that came in during this period on Friday was the most that we've ever seen in Russell County, the largest number to come in one particular event. I know the sheriff's office and fire departments traded their normal gear for chainsaws. So each deputy and most of the fire departments, they had chainsaws, and they went out on their regular patrols. If they ran into a downed tree somewhere, they just stopped, cut it out, thanks to them. Our emergency service people were delivering oxygen, rescue squads, oxygen, medication to different people, making sure that everybody had what they needed. And they just did a great service. They were checking on people, making sure that the nursing homes didn't run out of the oxygen and all the people that needed. But even after the trees and most of the roads were unblocked, the same group of people started delivering hot meals. There's so many people that we need to thank for what they've donated and what they've done. One such nonprofit that comes to mind is Feeding Southwest Virginia, and I know we've had two events here. I think David had one over in Honaker, and we had one here at the Government Center last Thursday, and there's another one scheduled in Castlewood. Isn't that right, Lonzo?
Yes, sir. Next week.
What day is that?
We're working on either Tuesday or Wednesday.
So
Me and Andrew is.
just watch. It'll be down at the fairgrounds in down the Castlewood area. So that'll be available to people. Department of Corrections. They started cooking at Department of Corrections in Blackford, and they produced 400 or 500 hot meals that they delivered down here. And these same people were out cutting trees and delivering medication, and the oxygen came back and started delivering those hot meals to anybody who needed it. Our Public Service Authority. The town utility and maintenance people spent some long, hard hours making sure that the water plants were running, sewer plants were running, that the tanks stayed full. When the electricity goes out, you don't have any service on your pumps to get the water into the tanks because they're at the higher levels. So we made arrangements to get generators around everybody, and we'd pull a generator in, pump a tank up, and they'd be good for 2 or 3 days. Other people, Food City, Walmart, Clico, First Bank and Trust, that's just to name a few that, provided supplies and foods and made donations. I guess the point that I'm really trying to make is that I'm just very extremely proud of these people in Southwest Virginia. I think it's, they just didn't ask what was needed. They just jumped in and started doing something. I think that they're heroes in my mind. And I think this is the spirit of Southwest Virginia. Lonzo told me that these guys were out even before he could get VDOT mobilized and into the field. And that's not a criticism of VDOT. They have got their hands full, I want to tell you. It's just that these people were prepared and ready to go. And I think they placed us far ahead of the game when it comes to recovering from this storm damage. And when we can take some time and do a proper evaluation and review of what happened and what was done and all the actions and get a lot of names, and we're going to do a proper thank you to all these folks. Maybe a luncheon of some sort, I don't know. But the bottom line is that we're just incredibly thankful for all the great service that you people have provided. Extremely proud of your dedication to the people of Russell County, and your action speaks volumes about your character and your feelings for your fellow man. And I think we'll forever be in your debt for what you've done. So, thank you. First item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. So, if you've had a chance to look at that, I'll accept the motion to approve the agenda.
I need to amend the agenda there, Steve. Make a motion to amend the agenda. Need
All
to add the Oak Grove Community Center Board under number 3. It can just go at the end, the committee appointments. And also need to add on there the Tourism Committee,
Add what?
Tourism Board.
Oh, Tourism Board, okay. Now, where did you want to put the Oak Grove?
Just under number 3.
number 3, under presentations or under reports?
No, the committee appointments, Steve.
Oh, committee appointments.
Yeah, just
Gotcha.
put it after the county library board. And,
Yeah.
Yep. So you got the Oak Grove and the tourism, Mr. Hensley.
Yeah.
Second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, if you don't mind. Now, these are not going to be hot topics, are they?
I've talked to everybody involved, so I would assume not, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I think that amending the agenda, I'd like for us to discuss that at another time, but, okay, I'm good.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay. Okay. First item is public hearing on the Russell County Erosion and Sediment Control Ordinance. I'm going to go ahead and call that public meeting to order, or comment session. And if you want to speak, please come up to the podium and make your comments. Okay, session's now. Do you have anybody that wants to address the county erosion and sediment control plan? No takers? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Okay, now what's the board's preference on this? I've talked to several of you, and my recommendation would be that we just table this for the time being.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. Yes, ma'am.
Give us a heads up on what it is that you're not seeing that you want to see, or,
Well, I've talked to 2 or 3 different people, and they have problems with, I think we need to sit down and review it just a little more. It's restrictive nature. And I understand that this ENS plan is, probably really didn't say much more that it's following, trying to comply with state changes that have been made. But I had some people that wanted more time to review it and take a look at it.
I don't need more time to review it. I've reviewed it. This thing is gonna tax our citizens to work. You're gonna have to get a $150 permit. It's gonna pit neighbor against neighbor when a farmer's out doing his daily activities. If he's cleaning his land and his neighbor decides that he just don't like him, he's gonna turn him into the county. What's the county gonna do? They're gonna come out there and figure out if he's disturbed 10,000 square foot or not. And if he has, in his normal farming activities, then he's gonna be fined by the county. And we need to be taking care of our farmers, and we need our farmers in Russell County. And there is a lot of money comes into Russell County by cattle leaving our county, going to feedlots and wherever they're going. And I will never vote for this soil and erosion. You can extend it till the end of time. I'll never vote for it, because it puts a hurt on our farmers, and it pits neighbor against neighbor. And I'm getting mad talking about it, so I'm done. Thank you.
I appreciate it. A lot of people feel the same way, Andrew. It's just that regardless of whether we modify our ENS document or not, that is still state law, and that could still happen anyway on the state level.
Well, the
You know,
state can come in here and regulate it. It doesn't need to
Exactly.
be the Russell County taxpayer paying to regulate it.
I understand that. I understand that. I'm just trying to explain to you that doesn't make it going away. Just, saying I'm not going to vote for it doesn't mean it's still going to be there. So that is a justification for tabling everything. Let's put it off and let's do a little more research on it. So, any further discussion?
I agree with Andrew totally. It's an overreach, but I don't think we have any control over it. But
don't.
when these parts of legislation come down the pipe, we need to be fighting against it. Which who has control of the House and Senate, so we need to fight tooth and nail. We're not Northern Virginia. We're Southwest Virginia. We shouldn't meet the same criteria that they want Northern Virginia. Southwest Virginia had to. That's all I have.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Hensley, as well, but, we don't need to have a permit. If this is a state law and we're already falling under the guidelines of that, I don't see administering a $150 permit for that. is in the best interest of the county.
Any further comment?
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know sometimes if the state mandates certain things, such as some of the other ordinances that we've done, and there's a fee involved, I just want to know, I don't have the clarification on that one. So the $150, that could be, is that a state fee? Is that in state code?
No.
Okay, so that's something that was ours?
Yeah, that
So
was
if you
one of-
eliminate that and go back to, is there any fees at all on state code?
It's left up to the locality. That's at the discretion because each locality has different staff and
Your
personnel.
mic's not on.
Each locality has different expenses, so they leave it up to the autonomy of the locality to be able to set
Okay,
the fees.
so the point I'm trying to make is, will the state be collecting any permit fees where the county could collect them and it's going on to the state? So you're telling me no?
This is a local.
Because that's one
local-
piece of the ENS
That is-
law I don't know.
That's a
So that's
locality
locality.
fee.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
I'm
Okay.
abstaining, Mr. Chair.
Abstain.
I
Yes, ma'am.
sit on the State Water Control Board.
Very well. 6 yeas and 1 abstention. So that ordinance is tabled indefinitely. Okay, now we're going to do some presentations. And first, we have Jared Glass, Jess Powers with Russell County Emergency Management.
Morning. I feel very close from how this used to be. Anyway, we've got two different things that we want to talk to you guys about this morning. The first one is a software for fire and EMS called I Am Responding. The Russell County Fire Association has monthly meetings. Mr. Lester attended one of those, and they spoke with him about the county adopting this. And he asked our office to look into that and get a quote on that. The first slide there kind of goes over the benefits. I'll try to keep from just reading to you. But one of the biggest benefits is it gives all your departments an additional way to be able to receive notification on emergencies. It will send a push notification out to their cell phones. It'll give them information on the location. It'll give them distance they are from it. It provides departments with a little bit of extra safety for their members because they're able to mark through that app that they're en route. And, the chief will be able to see that, or the EMS captain or whatever. And it just lets them know, hey, these people are responding. I need to make sure they arrive on scene, or I need to make sure they arrive at the station. So there's a lot of benefits along those lines. On the next couple slides, we've highlighted some of the other benefits. A lot of those more pertain to the fire side. But on the next slide, it talks about some of the fire department pre-planning that they're able to do. And if you pay attention there, this is stuff local in Lebanon, the Lebanon Fire Department has already done. It gives these guys the opportunity to be able to, look at these buildings. They can go in and open floor plans. They can decide in advance where they're going to stage trucks. It just gives them ability to do their job much better. All the other agencies in the county would have access to their pre-plannings along, vice versa with any that's done anywhere else in the county. So it gives everybody a better understanding of their job once they arrive on scene, be more effective at what they do. The next slide goes over some mapping features that it has. And like I said, you've got a couple agencies in the county that are already using this and already done some of the work. They're able to, when they're responding, they're going to know where their nearest hydrant is. They're going to know where their landing zones are. They can access their pre-plans. They know where alternate water sources are as far as if they're going to be drafting out of creeks or rivers or lakes if it becomes a situation like that. And it just really gives these guys the ability to, do their job better. The next slide covers some of the agency benefits. It helps them to be able to maintain records better. It gives them access to field guides concerning like electric vehicles, because there's a lot of things, especially if you go to cutting on those or even putting water on them in some cases, that it's just hard to know everything. And this is gonna give those people in charge of the scenes the ability to look at these things, make sure they're doing the things right, make sure they're not gonna get anyone hurt. They're able to track their membership info. It gives them the ability to show emergency contact info. Gives them the ability to be able to, like I said, show that they're responding, show what their status is. And then the next slide I've got is the cost. What they do, if you're doing a large locality like the whole county, they do a 5-year contract and you pay that in annual payments. The way that'll be set up is it will cover all the rescue squads, all the fire departments, and they're giving one for us to use in emergency management for free because, everybody's set up on their own system because when dispatch sets off their alerts, you actually have it set up till it records that message and sends that message to the member's phone. And, that way they're able to play that back, make sure they heard everything, be able to see where the call's at. So it improves our dispatching as well. The one-time setup fees on there, the phone call thing that it mentions, every agency gets an 800 number, and that's for when people are calling from a landline to let, their department know they're responding, or if they don't have a smartphone. And that's something that's not optional, that's built into all their contracts, so that fee has to be there. But then you see the total price there, what we would pay annually. And then beyond that, just as far as this goes, if you all have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
I do, if you don't mind.
Right ahead.
You said there's several agencies using this in the county. Who's using this currently?
I know that fire department wise, you have Lebanon, St. Paul, and I think Copper Creek is currently using it on a trial basis, and I think Castlewood. And the way it would work, these departments that already have it, is they will prorate their contracts and reimburse them the remainder of their contracts. And the individual agencies are on 1-year contracts, so that's something that they do on their end.
Okay.
And we just take that over to
So
maintain that for everyone.
Do you know what those that are using it are paying currently?
It's call volume based, but I would say most of them are up around $800 a year.
Could you get us the exact number back to us on what they actually pay? I mean,
Yeah.
800 is probably a good estimate, but I'd like to know
Yeah, I
exactly
think
what they're paying.
I think the exact number is if they're less than 100 calls per year, it's $300, and if they're over 100 calls per year, it's $800. So like you would have a few of your fire departments that may fall under that 300, and that's the way the estimate was done for the quote. But most of your fire departments and all your EMS agencies are going to be the $800 if they were doing it individually.
Gotcha.
Nolan is here and he has that service.
Who's that?
Yeah.
That's a lifesaver crew.
Am I correct on that? That it's
Yeah, like you are correct as far as that. We actually just done a 3-year, we done a 1-year trial
Okay.
with it, and then we just recertified or renewed a 3-year contract. I think we were about $800 and some for a 3-year contract.
For the 3-year?
Yes.
Okay, not
I
per.
don't know the numbers exactly.
Is that per year or is that just for the whole 3 years?
And that was actually for the entire 3 years on, just a
$800.
1-year trial with it.
So you're-
And like I said, I don't wanna tell you wrong with the
Yeah, no,
exact
you're fine.
numbers, but it is 400 supported by what Jared's saying. I mean, we have it on our apps now.
Uh-huh.
We can pull it up, we get alarms just on this, the same as we, through dispatch. It's, we can actually do our own individual scheduling and everything. It's a very productive, application.
And so it's intercommunicating with all the departments for the county, or the ones that are using it, in other words?
Yeah.
We actually have a screen set up in the station, and I don't mean to.
No, you're fine.
We have a screen just as similar to this in our station, even though once our tones come out regular dispatch, they'll come up through this, alarms set off through our cell phones, and it actually pulls mapping up, automatically mapping comes up on our screen, where we can just look straight up in the station, see exactly what route, where we need to go. We can actually, like I said, they're on public, 24/7 scheduling on, who's doing what. I can look on and see what crew's on at Castlewood Rescue. Okay, so I know not only, their agency, but what 2 or 3 members are actually on duty if I need to even call them personally. So it's full support here.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, We have limited in certain areas mobile service and some of our critical areas. So how, I mean, I know we're not gonna get a cell phone tower in certain areas that need it in our hollers and other places. So how, would that work on that? How does that respond? Do you need repeaters? I know I'm maybe asking too many technical questions.
It operates through cell phone service. So the one plus there for remote areas is if that member has Wi-Fi at their house, they're gonna get that notification when, honestly, we have some areas that, far corners of the county that, their radio signal may not even pick up. So this will notify them that they've got that call as long as they have cell service at their home, even if their radio can't pick that up or their pager or whatever they use. Yeah.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, so like now, if you're in a holler and ain't, I mean, on your cell phone, you may not pick this up, but you may not pick anything else up either.
In other words, no difference.
Yes.
Now, one of the biggest advantages of this, and why the Fire Association and along with the rescue have done it, it puts everybody on the same I'm sorry. One of the advantages of this program from the Fire Association and the rescue squads is it puts everybody on the same playing field. Everybody knows what everybody's doing, where everybody's at. They know who's on as far as the mutual aids, they know who's coming in primary, who's coming in, who's there, and who's not there. That way they know they've got enough support. And Ms. Wallace is correct, we run into blind spots on communication. And we've tried pagers, we've tried the radios, we've upgraded it to digital. Now, what this will do is, at their recommendation, they brought it to us. So to get everybody on one uniform system, that way when one of the responders, if it's in the rescue or the fire, they have got at the house, and majority of the people has Wi-Fi, they can hit it, and at least the leaders know what is going on route to the incident. So it's a big advantage, and it also has a lot of others. Planning, it has fire reports that it does, like that we just got through with the courthouse. It has the plans of the new courthouse on there, so if they're going into breaching in what we call confined space, they know the whole layout where they're going before they even enter that office. So it has a lot of advantages to it for the cost. And if you included all the fire and the rescue into the analysis, it's about a little over, $300 a year. That's about what it comes to by the time we average it out. And then is that 800 a year?
That was a 3 year.
A 3 year, okay. I was trying to hear it, okay.
Well, I think it sounds outstanding. I really don't want to drag our feet on it. So how close are we to being able to say yes?
The invoice is included. I've got an agreement that needs to be signed, and we can have that started to be put in place next week.
It's up to the governing board.
I'll make a motion that we give you what you need.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
That's a pretty broad motion.
As you can tell, we're on board.
With what he's presenting, not what
Give Jerry
his
what he's
wish
asking
list.
for.
It's not your Santa list yet, okay?
You just about got a blank check here.
So the motion is to accept the invoice, and, for the contract is
Yes,
what
sir.
it is.
Sorry, I
And
wasn't more plain.
The second thing is this would have came in, and we started this planning before this hurricane hit, or tropical storm, whatever you want to call it. This would came in real handy during that time. I mean, it would have, because a lot of times we're in the dark.
Any further comment or questions in relation to this motion?
One more thing I can tell you, Jerry, that we're working on through the Cumberland Plateau Commission is I presented putting in microcells instead of a full cell site. But these microcells can be put at a lower cost and can expand areas in a lot of rural communities. And we're negotiating right now with the carriers, to try to work this thing out with them. I'm sure they would rather have us pay for a full standing cell site, but they don't want to put in a lot of areas, like in my district and other districts that the supervisors has, to fill in the gaps. But with these microcells, they would fill up every gap in every area, and they can be mounted on a power pole or a home or a building or a business. to expand the service throughout the community. So we are, I just want to let you know, we are working on that to try to help you to get at more access.
And any of that'll improve this service.
It would improve it.
Oh,
Yeah.
unbelievably. And these are relatively inexpensive units that David's talking about. So I think we're probably gonna try them out and see how they work. Okay, any further discussion?
One more, does
Yes,
this, would this work with Earthlink? Would that make a difference if you had that kind of access,
Still
or is that a
works.
no?
Still works with Earthlink.
It
Any-
still works with Earthlink?
Yeah.
Because I know we had some volunteers come down to our area and set up an Earthlink. Now, I know I've been pro-Earthlink. You all remember, I'm going to say it again. I think, one thing is good, but if we had had an Earthlink in some places, or if we'd had access to that, we could have set that up, which would have been great for communication, because we sat in the dark, literally in the dark 2 ways, no communication and no lights. So that's critical for us, and I think the Earthlink will work on this,
Yeah.
right? Say it
Yeah,
again.
this is basically, on the member end, this is basically an app you download on your phone. There's a little more setup that'll be on our end, and if they decide, like, Nolan's doing at Lebanon, to have a monitor in their station, that's gonna take a little more setup. But, the member with the phone in their hand is just an app you download. It's got its own messaging, so, I mean, there's a lot of benefit to it.
Thank you. I'm through, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any further questions? If not, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say like sign. There are none. Thank you, Gary.
Done yet, so. Well, I mean, you were gonna write me a blank check, so. What you're getting out now goes along with what I'm getting ready to talk with, and it's just more of an itemized breakdown than what this slideshow has. Just so you can actually see, basically where every penny's going in this proposal. And I think especially as far as this one goes, I think most of the agencies are represented here this morning to show their support with this. We've also already written an MOA that may need somebody smarter than me to take a look at to make sure it's good, but at this point, all the agencies are willing to sign it. But what we're looking at doing is, there's a major issue going on in the state of Virginia with the Board of Pharmacy changing regulations. And I know it's gonna sound like I'm coming in here last minute, but there's still many things concerning this that's still gray. They don't even have black and white answers. I've been flat told that they will not reply to emails because they're not allowed to put anything in writing concerning it. So it makes it very difficult. In the grand scheme of things, they may change things, and this may not even be necessary. But we want to be prepared if it is necessary and do what we can to try to support our EMS agencies. But this first slide just kind of goes over, what we're trying to do. With these changes, as it stands today, the hospitals will not be able to provide the drug kits to the EMS agencies as they've done for many, many years. These agencies have never had to carry this burden of buying these medications, maintaining this CSR, maintaining the equipment to store it, being concerned over the safety of, having these things stored in their station and the security of it. And this is going to be a big expense on the agencies. Ballot Health has, always been great about providing this, and it's been very helpful. But this burden moving over to the agencies is going to be a very big cost that they've never had to include in their budgets. What we're wanting to do is to try to bridge that gap to help them to be able to do this centrally, still in the county, and maintain it out of our office. The only problem with that is that the county itself cannot apply for a controlled substance registration certificate. It has to be an EMS agency. So what we would have to do is work with one of the agencies on this to be the actual applicant, and they would list the other agencies as satellite locations along with emergency management, so we would be able to store the medications. Bryant Skeen has been a big help working with all this, so him and Maxie have said that, we can work with Cleveland Life Saving Crew on being the applicant. And, right now, that seems like what would be the easiest thing to do as far as them being the applicants. It's the county itself cannot be. That kind of goes over that. Our deadline for this is November 27th. And that's why I said I don't want to sound like I'm coming in here last minute, but, nobody's giving straight answers on if it's going to change from this or not. So it's put us, kind of us and everyone else behind the eight ball of trying to figure this out. There's agencies across the state that have said that they're not going to continue doing advanced life support because it's just not feasible. It's not realistic for them to do this in-house, and we do not want to see any of our rescue squads do that. This slide just kind of goes over some of the pros and cons. Like I said, the pro for the agencies is it has us maintaining it. It does have us taking a lot of the risk. But it does cut the cost. And, if we don't do this, you're going to have agencies, you're basically going to have 5 separate systems in the county doing this. And I feel pretty confident that those agencies are going to come here needing assistance to do that. Like I said, the cons is that the county itself cannot be the applicant. We would have to work with one of the agencies to do that. And, that we're just against this tight deadline of trying to make this work. The next slide goes over the anticipated startup cost. I kind of tried to build this as basically a worst-case scenario. Some of these costs, especially, if you start doing bulk ordering on medications, that's going to bring some of these prices down. There's still some factors that are out there that nobody can give a straight answer on. That initial drug supply may be significantly less depending on how things work out. And like I said, we're still not getting a direct answer on how things are going to go. So there may be a situation that initial drug supply cost is significantly cut. But the next slide is going over the fact that we did work with Mr. Lester and go ahead and apply for a Virginia Office EMS grant. Regardless of what we end up having to do, worst case scenario, if we were to receive the grant, we just turn it down. But the deadline for that was September 16th, so it's not something that we really could wait till this meeting to discuss. And we went ahead and did that just to try to, like I said, stay as far ahead of this as we can. That grant will cover 80% of cost of what we applied for. It will not pay for anything that was purchased prior to the date of the award of the grant, which usually is around the 1st of January. So the initial startup things, it will not back up and pay for. We'll be forced to pay for that up front. But the things that it will help cover is we did apply for some new boxes. The kits that the agencies currently use have been around for several years. A lot of them have broke hinges. A lot of them, just are in bad shape. It'll pay for better storage. We actually have some actual drug cabinets in there. We actually have some cold storage because some of the medications that the agencies are currently carrying, to maintain a long shelf life, they must be refrigerated. Once they go out of that refrigerator and onto an ambulance, they have 60 days. So you don't want to buy those and be in a situation that you have 60 days to use it. Because we do not want to have wasted expense on this, any more than we can avoid. We have also you can apply for your first year medication cost. The initial cost is the big expense because you have 15 ambulances that are certified in this county. So you have to stock 15 drug boxes. Plus you have to have enough to have extras for when those agencies come in to swap them. So you're looking at probably 20 drug boxes that you have to have stocked up front. And that's where that huge initial cost comes in. The reoccurring cost on the medications, I don't think will be, really substantial. We've got an estimate in there. We've applied for that amount in this grant. So, if we're lucky enough, if we move forward with this and we're lucky enough to get that grant, that'll help pay for, a lot of the expenses going into next year. And that's basically all I have. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions on that.
Is there any liability, Jared, on the county's part, handling these drugs as far as the storage of them out there in your office?
Yes. I mean, the fact of the matter is you're storing medications, there's always liability. But we feel that the liability of having the controlled substances in one location versus 5 is less liability.
And you shouldn't have no trouble, you and Jess, handling all that.
We've got a good security system. We'll have to add a third party. That's part of the Board of Pharmacy requirements on the security monitoring. That's actually minimal cost. Equipment's cheap. It's $30 a month to have that monitored, but that's a requirement to have your Board of Pharmacy certificate. As far as us managing it, we don't see it as a problem. As the biggest hurdle we have, if we were doing it today, is the fact that Jess is the only full-time employee. That would be a problem as we do it today, but we will manage it the best we can.
As far as that Board of Pharmacy goes, have you reached out to anybody in the county that would maybe be willing to donate their time to take care of that for you?
When you run into the policies of this, it gets very particular. So running into the issues of the policies of this on how it would work and who has access, and that would make it very difficult.
Okay, I just know we got several pharmacists in the county, and I thought maybe somebody would be willing to.
Well, if you do it through a pharmacy, it has to be a one-to-one exchange. You can't buy drugs in bulk and do it, as a box at a time. It would be a one-to-one exchange, which actually would drive up cost because they're not going to be able to give you the pricing of, they're going to have to do retail price on those things. So you could look at that, but it's going to be much more expensive than what we're looking at here.
Thank you.
We're also a 24/7 operation, so
Yeah.
all the pharmacists don't work at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, which EMS may need those drugs during that time. Or during a power outage, we have a generator for our whole building. So we'll have power, security, and we'll be able to control the temperature for those drugs.
How does this affect your advanced life support if this don't happen?
If someone's having a heart attack, your agencies can't do anything about it.
anything. You
If
touch it.
someone goes into cardiac arrest,
That's what I did.
CPR is about the extent of what they'll be able to do.
Yeah.
Probably a good percentage of your responses in Russell County are advanced life support calls. We have a lot of breathing issues in this county. We have a lot of cardiac issues in this county. Trauma patients, you're not gonna be able to do anything to help stabilize those patients. I mean, without these medications, that sets back our EMS 30 years.
Yeah. Just,
That's what I wanted to hear from you, Jared. I knew it had a huge impact negatively.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, even, most of the agencies have protocols that their EMTs, their basic level of provider, can do the aspirin, can do the nitro. Some of them can even do breathing treatments and things. They won't even be able to do those. I mean, you won't even be able to carry an aspirin on your truck.
All right.
So, if I may, I'm sorry I'm stepping on you, Mr. Lester. Do you want to go?
No. Well, just to echo and add on to what Jared has said, and they've done a great job on this. And emergency management, one of the things that started this came down from legislation, and it was put in place. And they wanted to push it out to the EMS, and of course, we have met with Ballard, that gives the medical boxes now. And then what happens is, if a rescue squad comes in there and they're low, Ballard right now replenishes them. And you guys in the office can speak up, if we miss anything. And we're gonna have to take over that service because they're pushing it out, and the legislator and the law has made it that way too. Now, just to chime on, VACO has stepped in the meantime. We have contacted the council, Emergency Management Council. We have talked to the department, DEA. We have looked at that. We have looked at the Board of Pharmacy. Jared, we have talked with the MOD, which is the medical director, which is Dr. Phillips, which he has to ride off on this too. This is very controlled. This is very protocoled. was not off the cuff to decide to do this. We had to have the whole infrastructure in agreement from agencies up how to put this in place and put the protocols in place. Because the DEA, once they do this, and they have a great oversight. Now, actually, the county had a DEA license for euthanasia at the animal shelter, which we gave up years ago, which we no longer euthanize. So, unless in rare cases. But we do have that control ability. We do have that experience. Now, one of the things stepping into emergency management is, Jared is there. He's a paramedic. He's a full paramedic. So this is nothing that he doesn't deal with on a day-to-day basis. Second thing is, when we looked at it, we went after the grants first because that wasn't fair for something from the state, again, throw down to the locality without something in place. And also, while we were sitting and looking at the drug regimen and what we was doing, some of this is eligible for OAA money, either member prevention, treatment, recovery, treatment because of overdoses. Some of this I can pick up under the OAA funding too. So between the grants and the OAA funding, I might be able to reduce the cost even at that level. Now, again, I think there's been 2 delegates in the state of Virginia, and I think Delegate Good has stepped in on this. Yeah, and I think they're looking at it, but right now, we haven't been given any direction other to proceed to take effect November 27th. So that's the way we're barreling forward. We're moving forward in that to put everything in place so Russell County citizens will not have a problem as far as a medical or emergency response. So.
Well, I think that if we have the ability to use the drug abatement money, to be able to support this, we should.
Yes.
I agree. So, on that being said, Mr. Glass has just informed us that Mr. Powers is a
I know.
one-man show.
Yes.
Okay? And so, Mr. Powers, as much as we appreciate him and his services, he is not a paramedic or an EMT. Are you? You're all that?
He's
You're an EMT.
He's
I
an
apologize.
EMT.
So at what level do we need another full-time employee, correct?
We have looked at that too.
So we're going to have to move on this, are we not?
Yes, we are. And see, one of the things you got to remember on Jared's position, he's right now part-time, which he's half grant. So that will continue. He's going to, no disrespect, Jared, you'd have to continue doing that job too.
I'll say, in my defense, I didn't come up here for this part.
We hate to put you on the spot while you're standing up here.
I mean, I came up here with my hand out. I'll take any blank check Luann has.
But that's the way Russell County operates. I mean, we got skill sets, and we've got some of the best emergency management that's responded. I've had the fire programs, EMS councils. She knows we've received awards. Believe it or not, as far as fire and rescue, I'm telling you what the state and the Fed says. They said they wished, and the sheriff part, they wished we had our services elsewhere. You know how many calls that we get. But I'll get back to the business. We are looking at that, and I'll have to rectify it, but we're trying to get it in place and get everything in place. We're trying to get the medical box component first. That way I've got the grants in place, the funding in place, the protocols in place, the permits in place, the agreements in place with the MOUs, with the rescue, and the MOD.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Lester. Basically, I'm back to bottom line. We need a full-time employee. We have the best of the best standing here because this guy knows I love him anyway. He's great. So I'm just telling everybody in the whole world today, Jared Glass is my hero. So anyway, I was hoping he'd be my mini-me one day, but he left my district. Anyway, I want to make a motion, if you all don't mind, that we hire Mr. Glass full-time, that we can plow forward with all of this information and get it done.
I'll second.
That's up to the governing board.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that particular issue?
I would like to thank Jared. I talked to him this past week in a situation, well, multiple situations going on, and then we were out here together at the food distribution. And before, I didn't know if you and Jess might leave after this, and I wanted to thank you all while you were sitting here for what you all have done for the county, what you've done for me personally, and the situations that I brought forward to you, in last week. I can't say thank you enough, and I told each individual that I passed along to you all, if they can't help you, get back to me, and I've yet to hear from them. So I assume those situations were taken care of by you all, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking care of your neighbors here.
Thank you, sir.
We had 807 cars that come through the event that we had on Thursday. And we delivered
Say something else.
1,217 family members participated in that with 58 volunteers.
Any further discussion, questions?
Motion on the floor.
Okay, I think time to vote on this. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Well, I think all we've done
Sorry,
is,
Jared.
Luann's
You don't have
Luann's
anything to
done it
say
this
about
way
it.
for years. It's fine.
That just hit me as soon as we
better
voted
better
on
ask your
that.
real boss, Becky.
Jared,
But I think what we've done is asked Alonzo to talk to Jared about becoming.
having for time. And Jared, you know my feelings on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, to continue to the rest of the
Back to the
business.
boxes.
I gotta get back to the boxes now. Jared, we'll talk later. I've been here 10 years, and and think of it as an honor, because this is the first time the board has ever moved while you were standing there.
I promise it
Thank
wasn't
you.
in my notes.
Thank you. So you got high expectations now.
You need
So-
a motion on.
So I got
Yeah,
a
I
question,
need-
I got a question before we move into that. So this medical list or supply list, $1,654.74. That's times by 15, right?
Yes.
So 24,000.
Like I said, we were estimating the times by 20 because typically the way it works is if Lebanon Life Saving Crew brings a box in that they used on a cardiac call, we don't. It's much easier to intake that box and hand them
Swap it out.
another sealed box versus sitting there and taking the time, immediately as they come in, because we don't want to hold those guys
Sure,
up.
right. So my question is then, we've got currently, how many boxes currently from,
That goes back to, like, there's so much gray in this. But I've spoke with the pharmacist in Russell County. I've spoke with the EMS council. My understanding is these boxes were purchased many years ago on a grant through the EMS council.
so we're still using the
And-
same boxes?
Yes. And my understanding from the pharmacist at Russell County is that, as far as she knows, we will be able to keep those boxes.
Okay.
So we have no initial cost on boxes
Gotcha.
as it stands today.
So this is just supplies
Yes.
for the, now my question, I guess, is as far as supplies go, they get replenished as they're used and then
Yes.
reissued. So, my understanding, if I'm right, would be if you're creating a box from scratch, right?
Yes.
But we're not creating any boxes from scratch, right?
That, we don't know once November 27th hits. We don't know, I can't answer the question today if those medications will come with those boxes. That's where I'm saying that the initial cost may be significantly less.
Okay.
There's been discussion both ways that they may not be able to take those medications back because they're already issued out.
Right, yeah, that's what I would think.
Honestly, for us, that's best case scenario.
But they might not let them have it. So basically, the drugs lived in the box, and then when they brought in an order that said that they used it on it, they put it back. But it wasn't their drug until they had an order of use. They just had permission to carry the box.
Gotcha. Miss Amy's a pharmacist, so
I-
I appreciate that.
exactly
So that was kind of what I was getting at is how much of this can we retain and how much can it cut off of our initial startup
That's
costs?
like I say, there's been so much gray
We don't
in
know
this
yet.
that, like, I can't give you an answer.
Okay,
on
we
that.
don't know yet. I got
That's
you.
why when I was going over it, I was saying that, there may be a significant less. Worst case scenario. Yeah.
Jared's gonna have to go through every one of these boxes to make sure all the drugs are in date, make sure they meet all the
Yeah.
protocols, make sure it's not missing anything. It'll be a big undertaking.
Yeah, will.
Now you're full-time, so
Because sometimes you pop a
Okay.
box, and it says on top usually what's supposed to expire next.
Gotcha.
But you pop it and something else is expired in the box.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
And Amy, if I'm correct too, the hospitals, Ballad, wherever they got it from, will not take it back. Or if they do, they gotta dispose of it. Is that correct?
Well, and here's the thing I'm worried about for them with the reverse distributor. They're gonna become in charge of the controlled substances. They're gonna have to be with the DEA, the record keeping, the policies, procedures.
It's heavy.
A lot. So I used to inspect the EMS.
Okay,
I've
good.
never inspected these guys because they were volunteer and they were doing one-on-one exchange. And they do a great job. So they're getting ready to do a whole new set of rules that they weren't used to compared to the agencies that kept their own drug stock. So even if you only keep IV fluid, you have to have one of these controlled substance permits. So they're gonna have to have a reverse distributor. That's an additional cost. You just can't throw these drugs in the trash once you become a CSR licensee. You are responsible for the drug from birth till death. So you get the drug from your wholesaler, it's your baby until you dispose of it with an authorized reverse distributor. The good thing for these guys is that they are gonna be able to share. So they'll have one stock that they can share. And that way you don't have every agency having to have a whole box of albuterol, a whole box of fluid. They'll have it and they can share it. And I don't know if 20 boxes is really enough. So let's say Jared is on vacation or on Friday, you have 5 calls and they bring in 5 boxes and they come get all your 5 spare boxes. I would think you'd need at least 10 extra boxes to get you through the weekend unless you're gonna call poor Jared out every weekend, which Carla might not like. Like, it depends on the need, and who responds. But the other thing with the drug cost is you're gonna have to think about, the shortages. Things that used to be old, cheap, and generic are very expensive now. It's hard to get, but my most concerning thing for them is the controlled substances. They're gonna have to have policies and procedures, and they're gonna have exact counts and ways to report theft and loss, and it's just something new for them, and I already talked to Jared. I told him I'd be willing to help him, with the regulatory side of that. I can practically, like, quote that whole inspection form to you because that's what I did.
Okay, good, good.
We always, to kind of touch on some of the stuff Amy brought up, we already have some of the policies written. They're not approved. It's stuff that came from Dr. Phillips, from agencies that have, outside of this county that he's responsible for that have already done this. Castlewood Rescue has already done this. We've been down and looked at what they have and what they're doing. On the disposal side of it, I cannot think of the name of the company off the top of my head. There's a company that, some agencies are using that there's no disposal fee. As long as you return it in X amount of time after that expiration date, they take it back for free. So there may be some shipping cost involved, but as far as like, a lot of these hospital stuff use like a biohazard disposal company, and that's fairly expensive. We're not gonna have that issue, maybe some shipping cost.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy, also. And Jess, thank you all. And again, to Andrew's point, thank you all for everything y'all been doing. It's been meaningful. I know we weren't impacted nearly as bad as some areas, but I was proud to see Russell County, all their citizens and their emergency responders step up. It was great to see. Thank you all.
As I'm sure y'all are aware, Jess has been a tad bit busy this week, so that's why I'm the one standing here today.
Okay. You need a motion, Ron.
Yes, sir.
Entertain a motion to allow purchase of these.
Hey, I would, just to,
Before you stay.
Wait a minute.
just a
Okay.
second,
Okay, sorry.
I would preface that motion just to allow for any changes that would occur from the pharmacy board, because there are some negotiations going on to try to alleviate some of this burden. So just preface it in, if the Board of Pharmacy acts, we follow.
We follow with
Yeah.
what their regulations, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
As well.
Right.
It's like I said, what you have in front of you is worst case scenario.
Yes.
Because
That's
I didn't want to come in here with something half that price and be like, hey, we've got a problem.
And that's why we went after the grants, and when I looked at the LEA, I said, well, look at this regimen. I said, this is, some of this costs to be eligible, so.
And that paper I handed out, I think on the second page of it at the bottom, like if you see the medications are color coded. If you see on that second page, I actually listed which one of those can reasonably be needed, in treatment of a patient that's had an overdose, so. That would kind of show that, you know, a lot of those medications, ideally, I think, should be able to be covered through that.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
And then,
I have a motion by Rebecca to allow the purchase and in alliance, in compliance with whatever they come up with, whatever modifications and changes are made. Allow Alonzo and Jared and Jess to work that out.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jared.
Now, next presentation, we have Pam Stones, our new librarian. Welcome, Pam.
Good morning. How are y'all? I have to do the y'all. I'm from Alabama. I'm sorry for bringing the hurricanes this way, I think. Y'all, Russell County seems to have had a good influx of Alabamians this way. It may be our fault. Sorry about that. Yes, my name is Pamela Stone. I am the new director for the Russell County Public Library. I've been in the position officially since July. Since I've been there, we have been making a lot of physical changes. We've moved some things around in our Lebanon branch, moved some things around in our Honaker branch. We're really trying to make sure we create a very welcoming space, a space that makes people feel like this is where you want to learn, where you want to work with your fellow neighbors, and find your next great read. We've been working a lot with our meeting room space. Recently, we brought back our story time to Lebanon and to Honaker. We have both on Wednesday mornings and afternoon in Honaker. We've seen lots of new faces come in, lots of our favorite patrons that have been with us for years. We're lucky to bring one of our children's librarian who did lots of story times for all the parents that are now bringing their kids back in. So we're getting to see a full circle effect there where the parents remember being in there as children as well. Other programs we have kind of coming up, we have some adult programs, some leadership programs going on at both branches. And those are just some of the little things. But one of the reasons I wanted to come talk to you all is because I've never gotten to meet most of everyone and wanted to just introduce myself a little bit. So we know what we're doing at the library, what we've got going on. But I came into the position with about 19 years of experience. I have worked in public libraries, I have worked in academic, and I have worked in private. I first started off in undergrad and then went through graduate school working in archives and special collections at the University of Alabama. I was then hired at the University of Mississippi at Ole Miss to be their curator and assistant professor of visual collections over there. I did that for about 5 years, which has given me interesting perspective of the devastation that everyone has gone through, the photos you've seen of photos that have floated down the river. And people are trying to get those back. We saw a lot of hurricanes come through Mississippi. I was on the state board archive there to help with hurricane disaster relief of physical items, of what people would do with photographs, what they would do with their paper collections. And if any way I can offer any assistance to anybody around here in the area who has hurricane damage, is trying to figure out what to do with photographs, please come see us at the library. That is my background. From Ole Miss, I then went back to Tuscaloosa and worked in the public library there as the assistant director of public services and then associate director of youth and community services. So my big passion is bringing people in, showing people what the library is about, why we're here. We all have a nostalgia when we're younger with it. We all sit back later and appreciate it. I'm about trying to remind the folks in the middle, here's what we have. Things that we have, what we're doing right now, free printing, free copying, free faxing in the library. I know it may not seem like a lot, but it's a service that we have. And when I saw folks had no power, or we're going to have homeowners claims to make, car adjustment, all of these kind of things that they may need copies and prints and faxes. We have that going on for at least the next week, free in both libraries. We'll continue it if the need is there. It's been truly amazing to see Russell County come together the way it has. The posts that you've seen, the feet, everybody's trying to make sure nobody's got hungry. Y'all have come together better than I have seen a lot of coastal communities handle a hurricane like this. And be very proud of all of the response teams and yourselves, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, my brother was in Katrina. We saw Ivan, we saw the big ones, and y'all have done an exceptional job coming together. So we want to be a part of the community in the library here. We're going to be participating in Haunting on Main coming up at the end of the month, and so we're working on some themes with that and ways to engage, because we've heard there's lots of candy given out, so we're trying to work on activities so folks have stuff to do that night. And we are also working on doing a book sale this holiday season, along with hosting a mini market. Most holiday things go on in November. Everybody gets sure so that folks can go out and celebrate in December. And so we want to add some fun December things to do. You know, those last minute holiday shopping when you're trying to find a gift. We want to bring in some of our entrepreneurs and local businesses and set up a little mini market. And we're going to do a book sale so that there's gifts of all prices and types and things available for folks to be able to pick up. But that's just a little bit about me. That's who I am, is just a little here, a little there. Just making sure that we're here for the public. My main goal in this position is to bring continuity and intention to everything that we do. When we look at programs, when we look at the materials we have, if we look at what our hours are, we're doing it with purpose. We're doing it because it helps the community. We're not doing it for our own needs. We're here as a reflection of what the people of the community need. And that's what we will continue to do. If you all have any questions, please let me know.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
Well-
so much.
I think you'd be a great asset on some other projects.
I have served on a few, so if the need arises, please let me know. I was lucky enough to marry into Russell County, so.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I mean, I have gotten so much good feedback about you and what the things going on at the library. And I just want to thank you for coming and really putting your best foot forward and working on things. I have a homeschool co-op with some of my friends, and the moms are absolutely loving what you guys are doing.
Well, I'm glad you
So-
mentioned that, because we are looking to try to expand a collection as parents, as educators. Not take away from the school at all, because it both helps homeschoolers and parents who don't remember third grade math. You know, we want to be able to embrace that so that everybody is in it together.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us, really.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have comments, questions? Thank you, Pam.
Thank
We
you all.
really
Have
appreciate
a
it.
lovely day.
Now, under new business, first item is the approval of our minutes. If you've had an opportunity to look at those, I think there's September 7th minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve those or modify those as needed.
So moved.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. And have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none. Also need approval of expenditures, if you have an opportunity to look at those.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Have a motion to pay the bills, need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay, now, item number 3, Cumberland Mountain Community Services Board appointments. We have David Eaton and James Mounts, whose terms expire December 31st. We're doing these a little early.
The reason they're doing that is because they only meet quarterly, and they're trying to get everything in place.
Everything done.
And then
We did, there was a board, a letter from Mary Cole in your board packet asking both of these people be reappointed, so I'll entertain.
Can we do this as a slate then?
Yes.
Both members at the
Yes.
same time?
Yes.
Okay. Then I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
no problem with that. I'll make a motion that we reappoint David Eaton and James Mounts to the Cumberland Mountain Community Services Board.
Okay,
Second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. You are reappointed. Next, we have the Russell County IDA. Jared Glass is up for reappointment.
I'd like to make a motion that we carry that one over to November.
Carried over till November. That would be your appointment then, wouldn't
No, it is not. It is District 2's
Well,
appointment.
yeah, I understand, but we have to, let's see, because Jared was in your district and moved out of your district.
That's right, but I'm keeping him. I'm going to make a motion that we put Jared Glass back on the IDA.
Okay, I have a motion to have a second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on this matter? All in,
Well, I got some discussion. So
Yeah.
who is my member then on that board?
do you have that, Lonzo?
Because as it is, there's two from your district, Lou? Is that right?
We got Mr. Gibson and we got Jared from District 1, or District 2, so who is?
Mr. Lovelace put Mr. Gibson on there.
Dickie, you're here. Do you want to speak on behalf of the IDA?
It happened last December or November.
Yeah, I know Jared, it
Bird.
was your appointment.
Yes, Jared's mine. I got a motion and a second.
Any further discussion on this matter?
No, it's not it.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call for a vote on this issue. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. Moving on. Then we have the Russell County Planning Commission staff. I don't know if this is as much of an appointment as it is just because, as I understand it, this person is replacing Crystal, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, she really wasn't appointed. We have to have a county employee
Yes.
that performs this particular work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not that this person will have any vote with respect to,
Well, this position's got to have the skill sets into land evaluations
Correct.
and et cetera. And Mr. Mitchell is, of course, he's a certified planning commission member and he's involved in that. So at the request of the planning commission, I think y'all made a motion and they selected Mark. Yeah.
Well-
Tara, did y'all vote on him? Did y'all select him?
We had all talked about it, and we feel that Mr. Mitchell will do a good job. Yes, ma'am.
and it's not so much an appointment, it's just basically
Is it a
appointing
hire?
him to that position, boy, kind of like a hire.
Is it a
Yeah.
hire?
I mean, basically
I think he
what-
does it for the same stipend as what.
As
the-
Crystal does.
Yeah,
And,
so
and
it's
what
not,
it is it's a position where he's kind of more forward-facing to the public, and he will pull plats and he will look at things, and then he sits, he sends it to us, and then we, review and then send you guys, us, the recommendations.
But he's not currently on the board.
He is not.
No, he's not.
That's
on
what I
the board.
thought, okay.
And just,
But he's got experience and he's
He-
done the
he
training
does,
and all that, so
yes.
he already,
Yeah, he understands
he's
it.
ready to go.
yeah.
And you're speaking for the board or you're speaking personally? You yourself recommend him or you as a board member recommend him?
Which board?
Planning commission.
Be more specific.
The planning commission, you're representing the planning commission or you speaking personally?
I'm saying from the planning commission. We talked about it, so.
But didn't make a formal recommendation, just,
Yeah, the letter here is from the planning.
is it? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I
Yeah,
didn't,
it's a formal letter from the planning. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, from what I understand, yes.
Yeah.
okay. Any further discussion?
nope.
If not, all in favor of this motion to,
I'll second it,
Yeah.
Okay.
if you
I
didn't.
thought we did.
No, we didn't.
Oh,
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
hear it.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't.
You got one now.
Well, we do now, okay. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none. So. Cumberland Plateau Economic Development.
Mr. Chair, I would like to carry mine over till next month, if that's okay.
Well, very good.
And that is, it's Mr. Blankenship, correct?
That,
Yes, sir, Mr. Blankenship.
Okay.
yeah, okay. Anybody else want to make?
Just quarterly, don't they?
Yes.
ma'am.
They do.
So I have a question, if you don't mind. These on here for consideration, the rules of the Cumberland Plateau is these are citizens, right? This is the citizen representative. We have our board already in place from
Yes.
this board.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to point out that there's no District 2 in here at all, so I'm just gonna put that out there.
Didn't you appoint Tony Lambert?
No, I did. He's in
Oh,
my
you did?
district.
Oh, okay, I'm
He
sorry,
owns a
I'm sorry.
business.
We got 6 covered, we got 4 covered, we got 3 covered, so just, I don't have, I'm
Sure.
just saying, I don't have anybody right now, but if anybody in District 2 would like to reach out, I would be.
Do you want to just
Carry the
pass
slate
all these
over.
over?
Carry all of it over.
Over till next
That's my
month.
motion.
Motion that we carry this
Second.
over.
Okay.
Yeah, you might as well, you already carried one.
Yeah, just
We'll-
carry the whole
we'll-
Just
slate.
carry it
We'll
over
table
again
these.
today.
Second that.
Cumberland Plateau Economic Development, we'll table these until next meeting if you have people that you want to put on there. Okay, moving on, Russell County Library Board, we have Kim Fife and Monk that come up for,
Mr. Chair, I would, I'd like to carry mine over till next month.
which would be Kim.
Yes, sir.
Now, is Ann Monk mine or yours, Steve?
Huh?
Is Ann Monk, is that your appointment or mine?
I believe that, I think that, Oris made that
He did.
motion. to
It
her.
doesn't really matter, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of an informal agreement about.
Sure.
We've got so many people on, the majority of the people on the library board, a lot of them are from District
Live in
Five,
Live.
simply because
Right,
they're
okay.
convenient.
Well,
So
if
you-
we're gonna
if
carry
you
the
wanna
one over,
reappoint-
we can carry the second one over. And I haven't talked to Miss Monk, so
I'm sure she wants.
I'm
to.
sure she does, but I do wanna
Table
talk
it
to
till
her.
next month.
Yeah, we'll just table the whole slate if it's
All right.
okay.
Table.
Now, we had Oak Grove, Andrew.
We lost somebody that was influential in our community a while back in Miss Linda Cross, and she spearheaded this Oak Grove Community Center into what it is today. Essentially, she got it started with Oak Grove School, and with her passing, and I'd like to get somebody on the board and we can move forward, and but I would like to recognize all she done for the community down there. But I've got, once I looked at that, we have members that haven't been reappointed from 2023, so I'm just gonna go ahead and read off the list. And that's Rita Charlene Johnson, and Tammy Perry, and Nancy Osborne, and John Perry. And we'll get those reappointed. They were all sitting members. I guess that's a formality, probably doesn't matter, but, and the new member will be Jessica Vinsel.
I'll second that.
Okay. These are customarily your appointments. You can appoint who you want. It's in your district, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a motion second to appoint those individuals that, Andrew, if you give those to Rhonda, she'll make sure we don't name.
We have them, we have.
Okay. All in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay, next you have the Tourism Board.
I'd spoke with Miss Carly Brook, and she said that way back when we was gonna redo these boards, she told me that she wasn't gonna reapply because she lived in District 2 and she was appointed by Tim, and she didn't want to go against the sitting District 2 board member. So then that time has passed. We've moved on with different things, but after last month's meeting, I've decided to put Michelle Vance on as the District 1 representative. And Miss Carly, I spoke with her this week, and she said she was willing to continue helping the board where she can, and that she was pretty busy in the summer, but we're getting into wintertime, so hopefully she can keep helping where she can.
Are you replacing a board member?
Miss Carly
Carly
Brook
Brooks.
will be
Carly
replaced
Brooks.
with Michelle Vance.
All right.
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none. Okay. I think we've finished all that off. Next is citizens' comment period. So I've got the list here, and I've got 3, 6, 9, about 10 people, or 9 people. If you just come up to the podium and make your comments, Mr. Lester will time you. You have about 3 minutes. I have Red Kennedy.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Kilgore, audience, my name's Red Kennedy. I live at 1616 Crossroads. I'm sure all of you all have seen these. Audience, all of you all have got one of these probably. I'm not here to complain about my real estate tax. I know what it's for. We've mentioned this morning all the things that's been going on in this community with this terrible weather we've had, so I know where it goes. So I don't have a problem with that. But I do have a problem with my personal property tax. And I'll cite a specific example. When one of my vehicles, personal property tax, is more than my home, I think your rate's too high. So I want you all to consider that, look at it, and see if they're in agreement with me or if it's just me complaining. But I don't think it's just me. Never had this happen before. The first part of my life, I lived in Wise County, never had an issue. The last 10 years I've been here in Russell County, and I just saw this time, and it just doesn't feel right. Hit me wrong. So I'd like for y'all to look at that, see what you think. Secondly, since I am paying a full tax burden and I am receiving the benefits of those taxes, fire, rescue, everything else that comes with it, I don't have water on my section of Crossroads. I've been there 10 years. When I first moved there, one of my neighbors said, would you like to have public water at your home, like the rest of the community here would like? We need more numbers so that we can approach the Board of Supervisors and get that done. I said, sure. It's 10 years later, I don't have any water, but I'm paying a full tax burden. So I'd like to know why that is. I'd like to see that offered to the folks on the Crossroads, their small section, because with this hurricane, we didn't have any water. If I hadn't had a generator, and I spent more money on the fuel for the generator than the food in the refrigerators was worth, quite honestly. But if we had had that option, like some of the other neighbors, that might not have been as big an issue. So that's why I'm bringing that to the board today. I'd like for you to consider those things. And we've already talked, and if anything, because you represent my part of the world, if anything comes with that, please contact me. I think you have my number.
Thank you for coming out today.
Anytime. I'll be more active this part of my life than I've been the first part. So, thank you all.
We appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Jerry Connor.
Thank you. Who was here?
Last month's meeting, there were some things come up about the delinquent taxes in the county. And our name was mentioned by Ms. Vance. We are not interested in no delinquent tax auctions. And on top of that, the treasurer give us all a packet where we could sign up to get on that, whatever it is up there at Roanoke. And so, and we didn't want it because we're not interested.
You're speaking as far as Amen auction.
Right.
Yeah.
And second of all, on a different thing, a better note, Russell County Sheriff's Department, I compared them to a couple other sheriff's departments around here. They went above and beyond what these other neighboring counties have done. You can say what you want, you can look at them, the other counties. Sheriff's departments don't carry chainsaws, but Russell County did. And so they done a good job. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Josh Minton.
Hello.
Josh.
Good morning. My name is Josh Minton. I'm here today to ask the board to remove restrictions from the July 7th, 1983 Board of Supervisors meeting concerning ingress and egress to my recently acquired property in Honaker. This month marks my 26th year in law enforcement career. I met my wife in August 2014. She's a graduate of the College of Pharmacy over in Grundy. We're married in 2018, and we had our son later that year. Last year, we decided we wanted to buy rental properties to have assets that we could leave to our son later in life. After much research, we decided to look for distressed properties that wasn't so appealing to the public, fix those up to make the county we live in a better place, and provide affordable housing for our communities. Since closing on this property in May, I've been able to make drastic changes to the property, including repairing the roads within the community, removing a home that was an eyesore. It was vacant for years with a tree through the roof, complete cleanouts of 3 different homes, debris, trash, junk cars, all in the yard. I've spent thousands of dollars renting dumpsters, hiring folks within these communities to assist with the cleanup efforts on these properties. I've hired tree removal specialists to have tree removed. I've also done that myself. these trees could have caused severe damage or injury to life, limb, or property during these recent storms. As we all know, there is affordable housing crisis in Southwest Virginia, and I'm working to try to alleviate some of that problem. The property that I have, that I'm speaking on, that has the most vacancies borders Green Acres subdivision. I currently have 7 empty lots there that I could fill with affordable housing for folks in the community or folks looking to move to our community. These 7 homes will be paying taxes, purchasing water, sewer, and trash pickup, spending everyday money locally. I've already purchased 2 water meters from the town at $1,200 apiece and have intentions of purchasing 5 more, if allowed, to ingress and egress across this Hillside Drive access. I have multiple people that currently do not live in town that's come to look at my properties, and they have the means to buy brand-new homes and place there. Statistics show that most mobile homes, once placed on the property, may never move again. The overwhelming consensus of all the people that looked at my property to rent said that if they could go in and out through Hillside Drive, they would rent the property today. I have to explain to them that for now, because I want to go about this the right way, they must use the steep, curvy ingress and egress from the bottom of my property off of Coxtown Road. As per the July 7th, 1983 Board of Supervisors meeting minutes, the board voted to agree to restrict access to the street in Green Acres Subdivision 1 and 2 to the owners of the lots in said subdivision. The minutes went on to say that the property owners shall, in the said subdivision, shall pay for all property, for all necessary maintenance located in the bounds of that. It goes on to say the Board of Supervisors reserves the right to remove these restrictions at any time hereafter. I've spoken to the mayor of Town of Honaker and maintenance workers, and both of them told me they're taking care of the maintenance on these roads for many years. Due to the town performing maintenance on these roads and the property owners not abiding by the verbiage in the July 7th, 1983 Board of Supervisors minutes, I asked this board to remove these restrictions. Since the town uses taxpayers' money to maintenance these roads, all taxpayers in the town of Honaker should be able to ingress and egress through this road. Furthermore, I have a deed book, deed book 313, page 407, where the deed from Earl and Sylvia Hess sold the property to Daniel and Dolores Johnson. And in that, it states down further throughout the deed that I do have a right-of-way easement to ingress and egress through this property. I've spoken to the vast majority in Green Acres, and they told me they didn't mind me to use this road. I received an email from one of the residents that stated, and I quote, "Both Lori and Jackie, my 2 neighbors directly across from us, were excited about your investments and asked for your card. I think you should not have any issue with anyone in this street, and they welcome any improvements you make. Be safe," end quote. This is now the same individual giving my tenants a hard time as they use this road to come and go. From what I understand, the police was called just a few weeks ago as one of the tenants was trying to access the home. That tenant has since moved out. It's just causing an issue. I'm wanting to go about this process the correct way, and I want peace among the folks that live in these 2 adjoining neighborhoods. I'm respectfully asking this board to remove the restrictions and allow the tenants of my property and their duly invited guests to ingress and egress peacefully across Hillside Drive to their home. Thank you for your time and consideration of this matter.
Josh, one question.
Sure.
Is your property inside the town limits of
It
Honaker?
is.
It is.
This
Green
is-
Acres subdivision inside the town
Yes.
as well?
Yes, it is.
Let's see here.
We would have any, I don't know why we would have had any
This is the Board of
jurisdiction.
Supervisors
Gary.
meeting minutes
Rebecca, you
from
have any insight on it?
No,
Yeah.
because that's the town of Honaker, and I know what you're talking about.
This is the minutes that I asked
Well,
that you, over time.
Josh has come to see me and just give a little brief, but we'll have to let legal counsel look at this. Right now, his property is in the town of Honaker. In town of Honaker is zoned. Now, as anyone knows, it's on what they call the county road, which is not county roads. In their deeds, they've got those restriction and covenants in there that, if you build a road, you maintain it, because it's a private piece of property. Well, that's the covenants that was put into this. I don't know at the time, because really, we don't have jurisdiction in the town of Honaker because they are zoned. If we was to reverse this, and y'all can get the legal ruling, which we will do, that we was to give up this motion, reverse it, or appeal it, or revoke it, it would still be up to the town of Honaker because it's within their jurisdiction. So, yes.
Well, I'm asking this Board of Supervisors to reverse this, these 1983 minutes from the previous Board of Supervisors. It states at the very bottom, the Board of Supervisors reserves the right to remove this restriction anytime hereafter.
Is it even valid?
I
Well,
just can't
that's,
understand why they
it's
would.
valid from our perspective, because maybe at that time, I don't know what the county owned. It may
Mr.
have-
Kilgore, what do you think about it?
I think we can reverse it. I'm not sure we can do it today, but I would not advise doing it today. I mean, I think we could do it the next meeting just to make sure we look at everything, but I don't see it to be a problem for us to reverse it. But again, as Mr. Lester stated, it's going to go back, it's going to fall back in the town's lap.
Yeah.
But,
So we should get it on the agenda for next month,
Yes.
and then that way you have time to look at it.
yes.
Josh, is that agreeable? I mean, if
Yes,
we can get it on the
I'm very
agenda for
agreeable.
next month?
Yeah, absolutely. I have 2 deeds of easement for this
Can you-
property as well. I'm just getting a lot of problems from
Yeah, I
people
just,
within
I
that
just can't
community.
understand why they would have done that to start with. If
Can you
they
make-
have no jurisdiction.
If you'll get that
inside
information to Mr.
Yeah.
Kilgore.
Long
Yeah,
as-
anything he
yeah.
needs,
And
I'll
as long
provide
as
to
if you'll
him.
put that on the agenda for next month,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
I'll tell you, Josh, we've been working on this, talking,
Yes.
conversating. My wife has contacted her attorney in regards to what the procedure should be.
Okay.
You know, based on finding out that the county had this in place, but I didn't know.
Sounds like we just need to get out of your way.
I'm just
Yeah,
wanting my,
'cause we-
Anybody,
we're not- we
anybody who
can-
wants to create some housing and develop
Yes.
some property, we just need to get out of the way and let them do it, you know?
yeah,
I can't
I've cleaned,
understand why we've done
I've
that to
fully
start
cleaned up
with.
properties, and I've cleaned that place up, and I'm working on it. I have 7 vacant lots that people just won't go to
Thank you.
because they can't go through this.
Yeah.
Yes,
We'll-
yes, I'm
we'll-
gonna
we'll-
work with him through the Cumberland
We'll
Plateau
try
as
to
well.
fix this thing for you.
Thank
or
you.
What little bit, I mean, I feel sure we can just
It may
reverse
be
it.
at one time, that back piece of property coming in Green Acres may be in the county, and since
gonna
then
say.
they
It
changed
could
the
have been.
jurisdiction.
Where was
I
the
don't know.
town limits
Yes,
at
yeah,
that time?
yeah.
Where was the town limits at that time? Maybe that's why
Yeah.
it was county, why
Yeah.
they said.
Before they done the
So we'll
annexation
work
of the
with
property.
Thank you.
But
And I'll get Mr. Kilgore
Oh, sure.
anything he needs.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, thank you,
Thank you.
that's strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Amy Branson.
How are you all? I had a lot more to say, but I don't feel, given the unprecedented times, that it is a good time to complain. So I just want to thank all our EMS and our first responders and our sheriff's office, and I've seen a lot of hard work from out-of-state people, and so we need to be thanking them and be patient with them and drive slow around them because they're here to help us. So our EMS and all of our agencies here are volunteer, and they do the most with the least. So if we can facilitate that and get Jared on full-time, I think that was a great decision. Some things I want to talk about maybe next time is the transparency thing, opening it up that we can talk amongst each other during these meetings. I want to talk about the FOIA officer clarification, who we send what to. And then I think I want to talk about audits of committees and boards and make sure that they are coming to you all on a regular basis so that you can get needs, so that you understand what's going on, so that before things turn into problems, you all have the opportunity to review things and fix it. Because if we're not auditing, what are they doing? And part of that is I see a lot of minutes in your board packet for certain committees and board. Tourism's always in there. The Cumberland Plateau's in there. But there's 55 boards, Mr. Lesher,
something like that.
that are underneath you all, and they're not in the packets on a regular basis. So are they coming quarterly, monthly? We need a plan for how often these people report to you and something in writing so that you can do your job better. And that's my only suggestion for right now. So thank you for everybody that's been volunteering. There will still be volunteer need in the future, so don't just volunteer once and quit. These people need long-term support. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Jared, you're up next.
I'm here to discuss again the Sunday alcohol ordinance, another fine example of just getting out of small businesses' way for you. The current iteration of the ordinance was put in place around 1946, 47. It was linked to much older prohibitionist sentiment, and prohibition itself was born out of the Second Great Awakening, and the misplaced belief that 2 pieces of scripture warning not to drink to the point of drunkenness meant that an absolute ban should be implemented rather than simple individual temperance. The idea that alcohol consumption has a moral connection is a relic of the relatively recent past and one that you'd scarcely find out of the American South. And as we discovered as a nation, at a federal level, prohibition does not work. Appalachia became the moonshine capital of the world. Now, substance abuse is a problem, but the idea that you can inconvenience someone into not being a drunk by making alcohol sales illegal 1/7 of the time when there's an option to drive 10 minutes away and get it anyway is absurd. I mean, perhaps we should try outlawing the sale of meth on Sundays and see if that helps. Now, I'd like to discuss our small businesses. Our mom and pop gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants are founded by people that live in this county. They got the money together, they gambled on their business succeeding, and now they employ people who live in this county. And as things sit, we handicap those small businesses every Sunday, 14% of the year, and drive revenue from the sales that those businesses would have had into the surrounding counties. Revenue that we need so desperately that we contemplate vulture capitalists that have come here to pick at the carcass of the coal industry and bury us in urbanite trash while they create jobs for 2 men and a bucket loader. It is the small businesses that are the spine of this county, the farmers and the small entrepreneurs. They've been operating under a handicap compared to all their peers because of this ordinance for nearly a century. It's absurd. We don't gain anything by keeping this ordinance. We're hurting our small businesses for the sake of a misplaced sentiment that began in 1826. The optics for anyone visiting the county are terrible too, which hurts our tourism as well. I mean, you get people coming in thinking about opening a business here and they wonder why there are chains across half the gas station coolers when they're fueling up coming into town. This is also just a simple, unnecessary government overreach into the lives and personal freedoms of everyday citizens. You can't legislate morality, and frankly, I don't think this ordinance ever should have been put into place to begin with. So I'm asking you directly to repeal this ordinance and let our small businesses compete with every small business in the neighboring counties. I spoke with Mr. Wampler. He seemed to think it would be as simple as repealing. Now, I have to go to Grundy. It's on the agenda later, but I hope that you'll all vote to just get out of small businesses' way and let them compete. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Wanda Burke.
I just wanted to come and thank each and every one of you, everybody out there that gave their time, their resources, everything that we did to take care of the people in this county. I lived in a coastal county for a while. I've never seen truly what happened here happen there. So I want to tell y'all, thank you, each and every one of you, that whether you gave money, whether you gave your time, no matter what you did. I don't know if you saw a post. We spoke to some linemen out here last night in front of Pat's. Randy and I talked to them for about 90 minutes. They were from Mississippi. The sweetest group of guys. And they said that this area has been overwhelmingly such a blessing to them because of the outpouring of spirit and taking care of them. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. If you are out there and you think to yourself, well, I'm going to give them a bottle of water, something like that. One thing we learned last night, they are not allowed to take any bottles of water, any food from anybody, because there are people out there that have put fentanyl in their waters. They've put people in hospital over this. These guys are here these men and women are here to help us. How dare we ever even consider doing something so silly, so stupid? People are in different areas. You see, they're cutting their tires, doing just stupid stuff. But I am proud of this area. I have always said I am not from here. I always tell everybody, Randy always tells everybody, I'm a Yankee, but I am placed in a really God-filled county, and I want to thank each and every one of you and everybody out there because this was a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda. Jennifer Chumley.
Good morning, guys. I just got a couple things for you. Like Amy, we'll worry about issues later. We've had a devastation. But as we've learned, we're somewhat vulnerable in these situations. Everyone has come together. The sheriff's department has done awesome. Local rescue and fire back here has done awesome. Churches, nonprofits, and local folks have come together to make sure that our people are taken care of. Some of my concern was people in Cleveland that I lost sleep worrying if they had food. A lot of them can't get out. They're elderly. They're not able to read messages. So, that takes somebody physically going and checking on them and physically taking them food because they don't know to ask for it. As Lou mentioned, something like Starlink or Earthlink would be great in these situations. And I think we've got work to do going forward on how to make it better. We can be better. Continuing now that the storm is over and people are getting their power back on, there are people that's lost all of their food. They've lost everything. They've lost their freezers. They've lost all the meat that they've hunted or stored up. It's not over. It's not over just because the power comes back on. And there is some help out there, but a lot of people that don't have SNAP benefits, how do they get that food replaced? What do they do in this situation? And I think it's just finding those resources for them and putting it together so that they understand, because I've been contacted many times on, hey, I lost food, my budget's tight, they're living paycheck to paycheck, or they're waiting for that monthly benefit to come in on the 3rd, or some of them towards the end of the month won't get their benefit because they just got it and they lost everything. So I want to ask that we try to go forward and determine how we can help them. FEMA may be something helpful, and a lot of these people don't know, but that takes months. How are you going to wait months to get that replaced? They have leaks. They have issues with their yards now. Those are small things, but that's still stuff that, our elderly folks are going to need help with going forward. And I think we can probably get together and get those resources to them, but we just need to figure out how. And a lot of people don't know. They don't know the answer. So they come to the folks to ask, in the areas. But some of our areas, we don't know. We don't know always in Cleveland what to give them the answer for. So we need your help going forward to be able to tell them that. So I think we've got a lot to do. There's just more work to do, not complaining, just think that we can provide more resources for these folks. Some people stood in line for hours and they were very appreciative to get boxes, but there wasn't enough for them to last. That's not going to get them through this winter, and it's going to start getting cold soon. Now, also, another thing, I know we haven't talked about the landfill in a while, but I'm going to ask that maybe going forward that we put into place a ordinance to prevent privately owned landfills in Russell County. So that's just something for y'all to think about. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jennifer. You need to make your people aware that there's going to be another Feeding America event down in Castlewood area, down at Fairgrounds. Be one day this next week. You can contact Lonzo
Or Jess.
once they get it set up.
Or Jess. Yeah, because we got so many going, don't we, Jess?
Artie, you're up, Daddy.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be kind of following up, I guess, from what Jared Ring was asking about, just a matter of some clarification. I had somebody ask me, they're looking at maybe putting a restaurant in the county somewhere, and they were asking me about the liquor by the drink, and I checked, as far as I can tell, we're still dry county. Is that correct? And what I was told, I haven't been to verify it, but I'm sure that they know what they're talking about. And I'm not complaining, and I'm not trying to get in business in trouble. I'm just asking for some clarification. The question was asked, there's a business in another section of the county that is doing liquor by the drink. And if they can do it, why can't somebody else? Now, if that's the case, I don't have an answer for it. Are there any exceptions that you all are aware of where there's some loophole or something?
Town of Lebanon.
I'm sorry?
The town of Lebanon has it.
No, this
The
is not in Lebanon.
industrial parks allow it.
I'm sorry?
Inside one of the industrial parks,
No.
like up at, Other than that, Lonzo, are you aware of any?
The Walmart shopping center is considered industrial park.
Yeah.
So they can,
That's the one I'm talking about down in Castlewood. It's not an industrial park.
It's my understanding, if I may, and we're not supposed to have conversations, so we're breaking our rules, but the state does allow liquor by the drink, does it not? Our ordinance is just for the Sunday
That is correct. Sunday restriction.
restriction, so we're already, it's already allowable. It's just the Sunday thing is the
Okay.
problem with us.
That is correct.
Okay, well, that's helpful. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, RD. Charles King.
Only restriction on Sunday. 11:59 only. 11:59.
Got this.
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm gonna speak just a minute about the alcohol sales. I think county needs to do whatever they can to bring businesses in. Anybody that's been to the town of Tazewell knows what it's done for them. It's brought restaurants to town and it's revived things downtown for them. And I'd like to see something like that come to Lebanon. The second thing I'm gonna bring up, and I'm gonna come every month and bring it up, is about the fish farm again. I don't see anything on the agenda today. However, I do see two things that was spoken about last month that y'all put on the agenda, and I appreciate y'all doing that. But I hope we get some information moving forward about the fish farm. And look forward to hearing something from y'all about it. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, sir. That finishes my list. If there's anybody else has a burning desire to come up and speak,
Come right.
come on, Tammy.
I don't know if it's a burning desire or not, but I'll just go ahead and mention it. I'm just following up. I'm Tammy Garrett. I live in Lebanon. I'm just following up on Pam Stone and the library. And I was just going to say that while our power was out, before I knew about the community center there in town being opening up for folks to like charge their phones and things, I tried to go to the library and the library was closed because they didn't have power. And I know that when I was up there and trying to get in, there were other people there trying to go to the library too. And there was no place for us to go to charge our phones or anything. I think it would be good if the libraries had generators, the one in Lebanon and the one in Honaker, so that they could be opened up in case of an emergency. And because, you know, I had a hard time finding a place to go and charge my phone. I used to work at Maple Grove, so actually one day I went to Maple Grove. I asked if I could come out there and charge my phone. And like I said, I saw, while I was out, I saw people trying to get in the library, and it was closed. They didn't have power. So I think that that would be a helpful thing for folks if we did have another emergency, which probably we are going to with the way the weather's going with climate change and everything. There's probably going to be more situations where we need to be as prepared as we can. So I think it would be good if the libraries had something where they could stay on in an emergency. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. I think they were without power during the bulk of the.
Yeah.
They were.
So it'd come in the form of a generator or some sort.
Right. Well, and one of the things y'all gotta remember, the government center stayed open too, and of course, town of Lebanon, their power continued, which we'll talk about during the market declaration. The Board of Supervisors during the COVID epidemic lit this place up, so if y'all need Wi-Fi, it's out here in the parking lot. So we have, boosters out here that you can go to. We have them at the community centers if they have power, but the government center did stay on, and we had we got things that can be utilized during that time. Luckily, the majority of the town of Lebanon's power stayed on during that time, but we're expanding our services just like we are for I Am Responding. We're putting all this in place, just like, you'll see parts of the rest of it when I start talking on the agenda and emergency management.
I don't think a lot of people knew that, and a lot of our area in town, on that end up there, was out of power.
Mhm.
So there were a lot of people in town that didn't have power, and I wasn't aware that anything was open out here that I could use.
Okay.
So I did not know that.
Maybe a standardized announcement on like the Facebook page would have helped. 'Cause
Will
you
do.
have lots of good information on the Facebook page for the county during that time, so that matter would have helped.
Well, power's kind of a moving target, particularly when,
It went
a
up
lot
and
of it's
down.
depend on which tree falls in which direction, so. But we'll try to make it known. Okay, closing comment period. Constitutional officers report, I don't see any here. So we'll go to the county attorney reports. Turn it over to Mr. Kilgore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, as it relates to, and you've been provided, I hope, in your packet, a letter concerning our report, but I'll hit the highlights. There's the C-Corps MOU has been executed by Tazewell County, and I think it's been executed by C-Corps now. With the last one, is that right?
The current condition, actually, the OAA is doing the final review.
Okay, all right.
As of yesterday afternoon, yes.
All right, well, that's where that one is. We've also drafted the initial performance.
Let's take Swords Creek Road.
Sorry.
Okay. The county, we've also drafted the performance agreement for the Isaiah House. I think we're waiting on a couple of items there, and as it relates to the Isaiah House, I think the ball's in their court right now, so we're waiting on that. We also drafted the solar energy project ordinance. It's a starting point for the board to consider. I know there's going to have to be some changes as it relates to it, but we would recommend that it be sent to the solar committee for review, and then have the public input hearing before coming back to the board for a vote on an adoption of a solar energy project ordinance. And finally, the status of the Sunday sale of beers. It's been raised by numerous people who are here this morning and over the last 3 months. And here's the way that we can move forward on this. And we highlighted in our report what the law states, but here are 3 options for you all. If the board wishes to take action on this issue upon proper motion by majority vote, the board can instruct the county administrator and county attorney to prepare the amended ordinance subject to direction of you all. Number 2, you could immediately vote to repeal the prohibition found in the existing ordinance, which would eliminate the local prohibition in the county. Or number 3, you could put it to vote a referendum. Too late now to put it to vote a referendum because we're already early voting, so it'd be another year before you could do that. So my suggestion, if you all want to address this, the easiest one is number 2. The second easiest one is number 1, and number 3 with the voter referendum. That's going to take a while. So that's our report. If anybody has any question, let me know.
Now, option number 3, the referendum will also come with a cost, right?
Oh, well, there would be some cost to it, yes.
Yeah, we'd have to pay for the.
Yeah, you'd have to pay for advertising, you'd have to pay for ballot issues and things of that nature, getting it on the ballot and things of that nature. And my suggestion is if, I'm not a member of this board, but if you want to take it up, I would suggest 1 or 2.
Okay. Any of the board members have questions for Mr. Kilgore? Comments?
Any idea about what the cost of a referendum would be?
It'd be more than $1,000, I would say. That would be very,
Mine was 5.
yeah, Alonzo's probably right, because you're gonna have to advertise it, you're gonna have to take ads in the paper, to let folks know what they're voting on. You're gonna have to provide sample ballots, or, at least you'd have to have language on, we'd have to come up with language on how to put it on the ballot, and that may take a few meetings, but, those are
Mr. Kilgore, is
different.
this something that we would have to have like a public hearing about?
I think you can immediately, the way I read the code,
Okay,
it says
because
you
I was just thinking, we've not heard, I mean, we've heard from some people, but we've not, we've not advertised it. We've not
Well-
asked people to come and speak and give us
Well,
their input. So,
what the safer thing may be to do is have it on the agenda for next month, and have it for a public, a small public hearing, and that basically that you're going to vote you have an option of voting to repeal the prohibition, and that might be the safer thing for the board, without just doing it right now today. Is that, if that's what you're asking?
Yes. So,
Might be smarter politically.
just for discussion purposes, and I know we don't have a motion or a second or anything on this, but I would highly favor number 1 for the attorney and the county administrator to redo the ordinance, and then we have allow for public comment. I do think that this has gone round and round and round, and we've had ample time for public comment over this thing. I would do number 2 today.
Yeah,
But,
The problem with number 1, if you want to do it next month, the way I understand it, you would only be able to have the public hearing next month if we had the ordinance, and then we'd have to put it to December to do the vote. Am I right, Mr. Lester?
Got to have 2 weeks out.
we could just lower the hammer with number 2, right, and get it done. I
Well-
mean, seriously, we've had ample time for discussion.
Yeah,
I mean, we've discussed and we've discussed this. We've
Right.
allowed public comment on this, even though it's not been a designated time.
I agree, but to Ms. Dye's point, if you want to make sure that, you are elected officials, you're gonna get out there, and maybe some folks will say, why'd y'all do that, without letting anybody know? If you wanna play it safe, that might be the best way to go, and say that we're gonna address this at the November, whatever date that is, meeting.
that's what I was thinking. I just want to give everybody the opportunity to be able to say, because-
Well,
But I agree with you, you could do it today, and
It's in the packet.
well,
We all had a chance to read it this time, last time.
I understand. I understand.
I'll just say that, I think Mr. Dye's
I
right.
think we
It's, you gotta give, I think you need to give some sort of public notice that this is something that we're considering, because right now,
I don't even.
people don't pay attention to what's
Well,
going
and
on
we
half
do
the
have
time.
people, like was said earlier, that don't get online and that don't see these things.
I'm
And-
not opposed to a public hearing or a hearing, but do we need to go to the point and to the trouble of drafting an ordinance
No.
that basically says that we're gonna do away with
I'm not-
Sunday beer sales?
Right.
I don't.
Is there anything else in that
option.
ordinance that's
Mr. Chairman, my
besides Sunday?
Sunday.
My advice is, do not, you're just gonna pay us to do an ordinance, and that's gonna cost y'all money. And I would just say, if anybody has any concerns, this is gonna be before the board to immediately vote to repeal next month. That's it. That's how I
Well,
would do it.
it's kinda what I'm getting at. Can't we just
You can do it.
advertise that?
Yes.
We're gonna address this issue next month.
Yes,
And, if you have comments for it or against it, please come and let us know.
right. That's what I would do.
So Alonzo, can we set a specific public comment time for just this
Yes.
Yes, you can.
subject, next meeting?
And just to add one more point in, I still got like 2,300 people without power, may not even know what's going on in the county.
Also, like to see it advertised the same as we would for a public ordinance.
Oh, it is, it still has to be.
Okay.
Same amount of time.
So, we need
paper.
a motion to ask for
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
Public, what I would say is public hearing on the board voting to repeal the prohibition found in the existing ordinance which eliminates any local prohibition in the county on Sunday sales of alcohol,
Yes.
period.
Okay,
That's
And Mr.
as
Chair,
simple as you can put it.
I'll offer that as a motion.
okay. I have a motion to authorize this public hearing for next board meeting. Need a second? Need a second?
I'll second it for you.
I have a motion and a second. Okay. Any further discussion on this? If not, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. All opposed? There are none. So would you take care of that, Mr. Lester?
Yes, sir.
Very good. That finishes you, Mr. Kilgore, right?
I hope so.
You hope so.
Can I leave? I'm just kidding.
Oh,
We got one- we got
Mr. Chair, are you,
Oh, yeah.
We got number 5, request
Yeah.
from the PSA.
Request, the PSA request, is that still on? Lonzo?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
PSA request.
Collection of delinquent utility. Do we have that on there?
Yeah, we do. And of
Trying to
course,
find it here.
of course, I'm to where I'm getting to right now, and that's where I'm at. Hang on just a second. Our technology, hang on just a second. Here we go. That's the solar facility. Amounts.
That's solar, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have that on here, but whatever.
There's nothing in the packet about it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, while he's looking for that,
ma'am.
going back to the solar ordinance, are you going to reconvene that committee at the recommendation of the attorney?
I think that we will need to do that, yeah.
Who's on that committee? You-
Lou and myself.
Okay.
You my contact, and then we can just, you can just send it to me by email.
How's that? That's the solar. Hang on just a second.
So no, I can't find the. Yeah, yeah, that's what we're.
We're looking to make
Can we,
sure.
can I get it?
Why don't you come
Yeah,
on
you
up?
can approach, let me get,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
why,
have
that's
it.
why he was here. Okay,
I'm looking through my file that, thank you.
yeah. Yeah. If you don't care, just give the board a brief on what you're proposing, the PSA is proposing.
Here you go, let me give this back
And
to you.
I think I got the chair.
You
If
need
you,
this
if
back?
you just tell us what, basically,
What
just
we're planning on.
condense what the,
Yeah,
what
so,
you're asking for.
Members, I think I know most of you. For those that I don't, my name is Garrett Patton. I'm an attorney with TACS, or Taxing Authority Consulting Services. We've been retained by the Russell County PSA to collect on their delinquent utility accounts. That includes water, sewer, trash pickup, I believe, right, Harry? This MOU is sort of, it's not necessarily required by Virginia code. However, if the board was to entertain signing it, it does give us a lot more teeth in our collection actions. It essentially gives us all the authority that the treasurer would have in collection with their delinquent real estate tax. Same thing that we do for the treasurer now. So that's bank liens, that's employer liens. On the very extreme end, that's moving to sell the property to satisfy those accounts. Now that's a very extreme remedy. We understand that, and there will be caution exercised in that. But that's the purpose of the MOU.
Yeah.
Any
And just to add on to it, what the financial impact into it is, of course, yeah, microphone. The impact to the county and the way this relates to the PSA, we utilize the same service like with the treasurer's office. But this also, what you got to understand is, we got $315,000 in delinquent payments. What that equates to is the ones that are using the water, and I'm going to give you the simple part of it, the users that are on the system right now are paying for these delinquencies because they're not paying it. Someone has to pay it, and that's why it's in the rates. So this is a mechanism that it wants to be put in by the PSA to go after these, to where it's not, fair or to the other carriers or users on the system to be able to sustain this system. Because what they gotta remember by federal and state code, and these guys will tell you, is you gotta have a number of users, number of rate. Well, if you have a high delinquency rate, what the funding agency is going to tell you, you're going to have to keep this water rate at this to be able to sustain that system for the debt loads. So the higher delinquency rate, the higher the rates. That's what it equates to. So the PSA has proposed it. Mr. Ferguson, as the chair, has proposed this, and it should be for board consideration. So, and some of these that we looked at, we understand we've got payment plans in place that for people that get in problems, but these are some that have just totally ignored it. They just went on their own because no one has came after them. And that was what was happening, and I can't speak for the treasurer, but I can speak for the process of what we did before TAC took over on the property sales. Our collection rate went up. It's just, people were just 5 years on the books. Then all of a sudden they decided to pay it. When you send that letter, boy, you talk about movement, because once you hit that property, just like every one of us and the rest of the citizens in Russell County, they're paying their fair share. And they're paying, if you use it, you pay for it. If you own it, you pay for it. So that way no one else is paying for this.
And I'll just reiterate what Mr. Lester's saying here. I'm one of those paying customers in Russell County, in Lou Ann's district. And I don't like my water rates going up because other people aren't paying. So this is sort of, it's a little personal for me too, to make these other people pay. And if the board will allow us, I'm going to do everything that we can to collect on that. So.
Is your service gonna cost us anything? Do you
No,
charge us?
no ma'am. So how that works is, by code, we're actually allowed to pass our fee on to the debtor. So if we, if Lou Ann, and I'm picking on you because you're my supervisor, if Lou Ann owes $100 to the Russell County PSA and she hasn't paid it, when we get the account, now she owes $120.
200.
Wait, it's 20%'s the max by code, so that's the, but now she owes $120. When we collect that, we collect 120, we keep 20, we give the PSA 100. Does that make sense?
I've got a question.
Sure.
I know I've got some concerns a little bit about how that there are some rules in place as far as delinquency and cutoff times, and cutoff dates, and somehow that wasn't being followed correctly. And there was some people that was disconnected that should have been reimbursed for funding.
I can't, I'm representing, I'm just collecting on their delinquent accounts.
I understand that, but I want to make sure that the rules are in place that don't negatively impact citizens before you try to collect taxes on those.
Well, now you'll have to take that up with the attorney that represents the PSA. I represent them for, yeah. Yeah.
At one time, it was 15 days and the whole state was doing that. We looked into that. It's really 30 days. So we give a 30-day notice now. So all that's been addressed. Other counties may not be following
What
that.
about the people in the past that got cut off within the 15 days?
I don't know if we can go back
You're
on that,
worried,
really.
But you're worried about people like that were cut off at, and they shouldn't have been,
Yes.
and then being,
They paid a
Really?
penalty.
you know.
Refunded.
Yeah, well, and being caught by like Garrett and, you know.
We really exercise due diligence in our practice. We make sure that all the, I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before people start getting our letters. Does that
Yeah, I
make
mean,
sense?
what is the length of time that something's delinquent before it goes to collections in this case?
They'll have to send out delinquent notices. Typically, it's, at least with real estate, I believe it's 3 months. Don't quote me on that because it's all done before it ever gets to my desk, but, I'm not 100% sure on that.
It's after the 30 days they haven't paid their bill. Then we give them a 30-day notice, so that makes it 60 days. Then we send them a notice. They get a notice one way or the other. And then by the time we get to the point of that, it's 5 months. They're 5 months behind before we even start this.
And
So they have plenty of time to
Has
do
their
this.
water been shut off at that point?
At 5 months.
5 months.
Yeah.
At
but
5
it's-
months.
It's 5 months before we can get to that point. By
Before-
following the law, Steve knows this. It's about 5 months.
But we
before
were
can-
shutting it off in 15 days before?
No.
No.
We was telling them they was delinquent, but
And
they wasn't
charging
shut
them.
off. They was actually behind. There's nobody that was shut off unless they was behind probably 3 months at that point. Now it's 5 months.
Okay.
You were starting the process.
Starting the
15 days
process.
early.
Yeah, we're starting it 15 days early, but they wasn't shut off.
Gotcha.
They was actually behind several months before they was ever shut off.
Oh, yeah.
A little misleading there on that because you have to give your
It's-
notices. and
It's
all.
been a
Shut 'em off.
perpetual problem, and it keeps.
It's went on for
I
a
think
long, long
the
time.
last write-off that I saw was about $190,000.
Is it,
Just to clear the books.
Yeah, we're at 315 right now, and you're right. It was cleared one other time because of that.
When we did the consolidation, we had to write off the accounts receivable. So since then, over a 3-year period, or a little bit over a 3-year period, it's already grown back up to 315. We were at 190 before. Now it's another 315. So you're talking $500,000 that has left out of the system.
I needed that.
Yours is actually really close to the top.
And a lot of these people are capable of paying this too.
I'm sorry, say that again.
A lot of these people are capable of making these payments. It's not that they're not capable. They just don't do it in a lot of these cases.
We have payment plans for people that.
Yeah, we have payment plans. We don't want to cut nobody's water off.
do we need a motion from the board to allow them to proceed?
I think that's what they would
That's what we'd like to
That's what
have.
they
Our
asked.
board has already approved it, but we'd like to have y'all's support.
I give you that motion.
Well,
then.
and you don't need to approve for them to hire us, you just need a motion and to approve to sign this, or memorandum of understanding. Now, that memorandum of understanding also just sort of notifies the board that we do this for the Russell County Treasurer. This is separate. We're being hired by the PSA to do this work, and it's separate from that office, because we didn't want to put any additional work off on Alicia that she
Right.
doesn't have to.
Two issues separate.
And,
You're gonna be doing the same thing with PSA.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Well, after discussing this with the PSAs and our attorneys and their attorneys, to be transparent, and once these delinquent accounts come in, based off the MOU, we can attach the real estate. We can put a lien against it. The governing board needed to know. Like Amy said, transparency, so it's transparency. So it would have been fair if we enacted something that, this is part of the process. So.
You want to modify your motion?
I make
to
a
that?
motion to allow the PSA and Mr. Patton to proceed. Do we need to let Mr. Kilgore review that MOU first?
Yeah, I looked at it.
Will has
I
looked
just,
at
I just looked at it, just now. It looks in order. I guess the issue is we're just entering the agreement to allow the Public Service Authority to actually, hire tax. That's basically what we're doing. That's just what we have to do.
And it doesn't cost,
Doesn't cost us anything.
doesn't cost the PSA money, you
cost,
just
no.
collect on the bill.
I'll
Okay.
give you a second for discussion.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
What if it's a
If
rental?
not, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm opposed.
6-4, 1 against. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, Lonzo, it's up to you.
All right. First on the county administrator reports is, of course, the road reporting system. And no disrespect, what we put into the packet changed so rapidly due to the storm. We'll be giving you a new listing, so take a look at what was in there. Of course, the VDOT monthly road system report, they just give a summary of what actions had been done and work had been processed. Now, one of the important things that I was wanting to talk to y'all about is the SCBA's that the Fire Chiefs Association on the IRPAC request. The Fire Chiefs Association have met and, they asked for the request for the SCBA's, and that's what, these are oxygen breathing apparatuses that the fire department needs to be able to military was enter a confined space. So, and the agreement between the Russell County Fire Chiefs Association and was that if we would give these SCBA's to them to distribute, because the packs go to the trucks, just like the medical boxes goes to the ambulances. There's gotta be so many SCBA's per truck, per vehicle, and they're going to ensure that they need this. Now, what we have narrowed it down to from the 60-some, we're down then to the 48. Now, in the meantime, what I did, I was looking at the state contracts, because I was looking at the VDOT contracts, and other agencies that carry the SCBA's. I actually ended up getting a cheaper price from the federal contracts, so I got them even down farther, so to get that big purchasing power. So what that total cost come down to, out of the 48 that will be of the MSA's, GS1 SCBA's, that will go into the fire chiefs associations to be able to distribute, control, and move the assets and resources where they need them based off the number of trucks. We're looking at a total of $351,089.24. Now that, it will fulfill this requirement for the SCBA's. Now, as I know, there was a lot of information in there in a couple of other meetings where the Honeywells went down. We looked at their warranties. We went after what their legal obligation was for these systems after they went down. But apparently Honeywell is not having, they're having financial issues, and they're in the process of bankruptcy. So I don't know how much, but the point is this, is we have to be, when those tanks run out for the Fire Chiefs Association, which will be in November, they can no longer use them safely to enter a space. We've got to have something in place. So what I'm going to ask for the board to do is, and we are looking at grants on this, and we're trying to get, and some of them have volunteered some of their fire program grants up through it. I need a motion for $351,089.24. Yes, that's it.
I'm going to offer a motion for discussion, Mr. Chair.
I'll
second it.
Motion and second, okay, we're opening discussion now. Okay, Lonzo, we've talked and talked about this.
Yes.
We ain't got no more land to sell, Lonzo.
I think he'd already dedicated part of your.
Well, let me explain why we're doing it. The $100,000 that y'all dedicated for the poll books, we got a grant for that, by the way. So there's your $100,000 back.
Where's the other $250?
Well, Andrew's gonna work out. And every other county is in this same position, so.
Now, we've asked fire departments
to give on
if
the
they-
grants.
Yeah, to participate in the grant, and I think we've gotten a positive response from
Yeah.
some of them.
Yes, we have, and we're working with, with this, even on what we've been allocated and appropriated in this new fiscal year, we could probably pick up, between that. Also, into, like St. Paul, I've reached out to Wise County, because that's a half, they're half in Russell County, half in Wise. So, Wise County, I'm asking for whatever contribution, number of units they're going to do to give a contribution on it too. So between the grants, we may be at 100,000, so you're looking at a 250 impact, but I'll have to pull all that together, get the grants in, but the total cost obligation is $351,000.
Thing about it is,
We have to do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
we
they
have.
can't operate
It's just
without
like the
them.
medical box, I don't.
What about the towns? Have you talked to the towns any?
They actually, the thing about it is, the towns, like the town of Lebanon, have already bought theirs, so that they just did it. They just.
Belfast already has theirs
Yeah,
also, don't they?
yeah, and Belfast has theirs. See, this is not the units that you are asking for. This is what the Fire Association, Chiefs Association is doing. It's not to do the whole thing. These are just to get it completed. If you had to do it all, you'd be into the 600,000 level.
But these are going to be given to the Fire Chiefs Association, and they're going to distribute those on a rotating basis. So even the ones that already have them, there's a good possibility that they'll be a part of that rotation.
Yeah, and just like the I am responding, they'll all be on the same SCBA's, which will be the MCA's, that if a firefighter from Castlewood goes in with St. Paul or Lebanon, they can flip them tanks and put them on the back and go. Our tanks are the supplies, same process.
motion to give him I don't have my glasses, $351.
$351,000.
$351,000.
We've already had a motion, a second, we're in discussion now. So, but we have to pull the trigger on this one because we have to purchase them now in order to be.
And as you can see, here's the notes from the Fire Chiefs Association that I've highlighted for the SCBA's. We have met with the Fire Chief Association, chairman, and like we said, we began to get this as conservative as much as that we could, looked at who had what. We went from 63 to 48, so. And then I flipped from the state contracts up to the Fed contracts, so.
Any further discussion on this matter? I guess we may have to have a board supervisor car wash or something. But I want to go ahead and call for the vote on this one.
We got to.
All in favor of
No
this
choice. I don't
motion
know
signify
what
by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's like sign. There cannot be any. Do the best you can, Lonzo.
Yeah, it is. It's very expensive. Okay.
See if they need any used police cars. We'll trade them.
While we're on fire and rescue, of course, on the next one on county administrator request or reports is, and this is in draft, as it states on the screen. This is the emergency services ordinance that the board had requested, basic firefighting, what training that they wanted in place. And of course, I've also included the Fire Chiefs Association, what they had recommended. Please have an opportunity to take a look at that. Talk to your local fire chiefs and see what their input is into it on the individual. And we'll move forward with this. This is only a reporting draft right now, so go out and talk to your chiefs and say, is this what we got or what we want to add or what we want to include? And this is the perfect opportunity to get this placed, because right now you've got a mutual aid agreement in it that has extensive training. How's that defined? It's not defined, so this will give you the opportunity to look at what is defined. We've looked at other counties. We've talked to the state of Virginia, fire programs, et cetera. So this is the draft form. Look at what y'all want for consideration and what your local districts wants to do. Next
Lonzo, do we need are you at the point that you want to schedule a public hearing on this ordinance?
No, not until
Okay.
y'all talk to your fire chiefs. I'll feel more comfortable being in the Fire Chiefs Association if y'all have the opportunity to sit down and, at Lebanon and Cleveland and say, okay, here it is. Because during this time we released this, and we did talk about it, and we talked about it at the Fire Chiefs Association meeting. Since then, we were in the pandemic. These boys ain't had time to do they've been out cutting trees. They ain't had time to sit down with it right now. So to be fair, let everybody have an opportunity to have all input, so.
So my question is, in this ordinance that we've got, it's just kind of minimum type.
Yes, it's right now what was looked at, basic firefighting one with hazmat, with evac within 18 months with 25% of the crews. And there's a lot of things that when you talk to your chiefs, the fire chiefs, and what they're going to be doing, they've all agreed to put training in-house in place, in programs, assist each other, have it at other fire departments, work with the state. So they're going to do their housework to be able to put curriculums together to get everybody trained. So that was the agreement from the fire chiefs themselves, so. And this will give you an opportunity to talk to them. And I've lost my chairman, so.
All these trainings will be just,
Okay.
all these trainings, they'll be free like they've always been.
Yeah.
Just,
Well,
they just have to put in
we did discuss that too. Now,
I meant free to the firefighter.
yeah, well, that's one of the things that we discussed too. Now, some of the states are free, and we've got an obligation from them. They usually charge, but they're going to give it free. A couple of the fire departments have got the booklet templates in the online. They're going to help loan those to the other fire departments. So we may incur one or two instances, and I told the Fire Chiefs Association that we'll work on those by case basis for books and travel and something like that, but we're going to try to hyper-focus on in-house training, other fire department training in combination with the state training.
Yeah, I was just looking, just making it as easy as possible.
We
for
are
these
too,
guys to-
as quick
yeah.
as possible, yes.
This is a recommendation of the fire chief.
Right,
Stuff
right.
Like that was the minimum that anybody.
Yeah.
That should have, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, gotcha.
So, take a look at that, talk to your fire chiefs. They're a wealth of information. Their heart is in this. If you can catch them down, they're probably sleeping after this long event. That's it. So,
Well, let me ask you one more thing. Sorry, Mr. Chair. So how far does this take them on an ISO rating?
that will see, that's, the ISO rating is the insurance rating. So, and watch all my guys out there, emergency managers, smiling. The ISO rating is defined upon, you know, whether you have the infrastructure in place and the training that's in place to be able to back up the ISO rating. And I'll use Lebanon, St. Paul, Castlewood. You're looking at 4s, 5s, and 6s. Am I right, boys? Is that right? Ratings, ISO ratings. So I know what Dane is. I know what St. Paul is. I know what Honeacres is a 6. It's 6. Town of Lebanon is going at 4, or is at 5 going to 4. St. Paul is 4, is going to 4. Now, what that equates to is, again, during the previous meetings, and your insurance agent will tell you this, when you do insurance, they look at your ISO rating. That's just the way it is, and I'm just repeating what they tell me. The lower the rating, the cheaper the insurance. So they do look at points and scales and ratings and stuff like that, so.
Well, we need to encourage all of them to get training and to get lower ratings for the citizens of the community. Because it benefits the citizens on their.
Well, and it also makes it safer for them.
It makes it
I mean,
safer.
the more training you have, I would think the safer you would be.
That should be
And that's some of the things that I'm giving with this
not a
opportunity.
recommendation.
And this will give y'all an opportunity to talk with your fire chiefs of what is being done, what can, because I'll use Cleveland, for example. He's got a great youth program over there. And I mean, they look at that too. They look at what succession trainings you got, infrastructure in place, equipment in place. It's not just one thing, it's multiple things. So look at it, give you an opportunity, talk to them, see what they want included or not included. Like I said, this came down from the Fire Chiefs Association. And we asked the experts what they wanted, and this is the motion and vote they made, so.
Chiefs will all have a copy of this draft?
They will have.
Okay.
So, take a look. Next on the county administrator reports or request is the VACO legislative program. It's again, and boy, it went fast, didn't it? Okay, it's coming up again, and, as Terry knows, he's, the legislative program, what's the state is considering. The Southwest Virginia Legislative reception will be on 1/29/25. So just let me know whether you plan to attend, and we're going to get all these things set in place. Next on report is the DEQ permit. This is a modification to the Russell County existing landfill upgrade. We're upgrading the tanks on the Leche from the 2,500 gallon to 6,500 gallon. This is an improvement upgrade. There is a public notice on it, as you've seen in your packet, that anybody that wants to has an opportunity to speak. But again, we're meeting or exceeding the state code for, retention and capturing the leche. So I apologize, these things are long.
I have a comment on that. So,
Whoa,
when I
whoa,
believe
whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, you said public.
Amy, we need to do our business, okay? Public comments, talk to us after the board meeting.
Yeah, this is a public comment, and it's actually publicized in the paper, and I'm getting ready to go with that. This is the public notice. This is a DEQ requirement, and it's their notification, and Daniel Scott, the PE with DEQ out of the Southwest Regional Office. This is under his control, under the public notice for environmental permit. But the public comment period is actually from October the 7th of 2024 to November the 7th of 2024 concerning us upgrading the modification replaces 2 existing 2,500 gallon below grade tanks with 2 65 above below grade tanks. This increases our, leachate capacity collection size, from 5,000 to 13,000, so we're doubling.
If Amy wants to comment, you
Yeah.
do that through DEQ.
Yeah, it's got everything in there, yes. Yes. Next on the county administrator reports and request is the Coalfield Water Development Fund. This is on the Tiller Trailer Park. This is in the PSA's arena. This is an additional grant for $50,000, and I'll have the agreement with the Tiller Trailer Park in the request here in a minute. That's $50,000 on that one. Of course, next one on the county administrator request and reports is the declaration of Hurricane Helene, declaration of emergency. Of course, right now, we are eligible for, as President Biden has stated, eligible for the local government, for nonprofits, for emergency work for Russell County, and we are now collecting information to be able to do individual assistance. So it's a process, and we're trying to go as fast as we can. But one of the things that really are we focused on is the emergencies. Everything that comes through us or comes through the emergency management office, we look at it emergency first. Sustainability. Like I said yesterday, or the sheriff's offices that they're still here. We were putting tarps on houses still yet, so we're looking at emergency now. Loss of food, that's not in the classification. It's important, but it's not into the emergency classifications. We have to go what's on the protocols and et cetera. Sustainability of life and limb, and I'm going to put Jess on the spot, which he wasn't expecting. Now listen to what we did, a little bit of the numbers. If you don't care, Jess, come up here and speak about what we've done on meals provided, number of calls, et cetera. Do you feel comfortable with that?
I don't have those numbers.
Okay.
We've not provided any hot meals because they were not delivered to our event here.
Yeah.
We were expecting them. We had requested those. They had been approved through FEMA, but they was not delivered to us through the Thursday event.
Okay.
We did have 107 cars go through. They did receive boxes of food and cases of water.
How many families did we serve over what?
1,247.
1,247.
That was on Thursday. That's a number of people that was in the cars. 807 cars actually came through the event.
Okay.
They had 58 volunteers to help us, and it was ad hoc because all this came together very quickly.
All right. And emergency management has also been coordinating oxygen, dialysis. We've been looking at these. We've been working with the fire and the rescue to be able to do this, and we'll continue doing this as far as it. But what I need, as you can see in your packet, I need the official declaration of the Russell County Hurricane Helene Declaration of Emergency. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none.
One story that I can share, we have a 6-year-old boy that's on a 9-hour daily dialysis. The family did not have power until yesterday. We were able to work with a volunteer organization called Gleaming for the World out of Concord. They came and set up the generator for the family so that the boy could get his dialysis on a daily basis.
Yes.
He had gone without dialysis for 2 days. His discharge was being limited. That saved that boy's life.
Yes.
Because the machine is heavy. They would have to take it all the way over to Wise County to get partial dialysis done. But with him having the generator provided by a volunteer organization was critical for saving his life.
And
One of the things I'd like to really address, and I've talked to some of the board members about it, is we get money coming down the PAC, we need to get backup emergency generators for not only the community centers, and could be the library, it could be multiple functioned areas, but we need to get pre-planned and pre-prepared if this ever was to happen again, and it could. I mean, we need to get backup generators, portable ones that we can have to distribute for people that under this circumstance.
We've been working on
Yep.
We've got 2 generators coming to the Dane community. We've been working on the grant cycles to get those.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get those applications in, resolve those questions, and then get the order. So we're working on that. We're looking at opening up our shelter locations. And with the school closures that we've had, those were our shelter locations. So we're having to reorganize our shelters and get those generators for the shelters.
Well, I know,
People to the shelters.
Rebecca Dye was heavily involved in getting Swords Creek Community Baptist Church opened up as a Red Cross Center. And that was a great Swords Creek community, and Rosedale's working on theirs, but there's so many opportunities here that we could, I mean, the investment would be worth the return if we can get backup generators. I'd like to have one at Swords Creek and Drill and Hone Acre area, and I'm sure that Tara's the same way, because we've had these conversations about having these generators set up in certain localities so people could at least get a meal, and we need to find a place that we can start storing up some water, have places like that we can have distribution storage for those needs. I'm so grateful for what y'all have done. I mean, I really appreciate it. This whole community has come together like I've never seen before. People just stepped up, and not only for Russell County, but they're helping Damascus, and they're helping North Carolina, and they're helping all these other areas too, while they're helping us. So it's true blessing. I mean, it's just amazing.
And what?
We did not run out of food during our event because the local United Methodist Church went and bought food and brought it to us.
Right.
So it's a community effort of bringing that together.
Right. And see, one of the things y'all gotta remember in the formal protocols of the emergency operational plan, usually in the county, when we got multiple places that are designated shelters, but it don't usually hit the whole county at one time. Usually, if I get hit, and Lord, I'm gonna use David, Swords Creek gets wore out, and Cleveland gets wore out. So we usually have the ones on the front side and in the other areas in Castlewood as shelters. We can move them out, but here it is all of them.
Cleveland has a shelter, they just need new supplies.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the way it hit. It was so widespread. This was twice the size of Katrina. No disrespect, but it's what it was. But we will work on those.
I also need to give credit to Isaiah House too for.
Yeah, that's a.
We did send you guys the meals, didn't we? Yeah.
Lunch and dinner.
Lunch and dinner.
We got those distributed out to the people that we knew that did not have water or power.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
And then the bargain basement also helped distribute those foods, that food from the Isaiah House.
Yeah, I got a
That's
call.
awesome. Thank you all.
I got a call from Andrew and Tara and David and Rebecca and Nate. They want generators in this community center, this one, and this one, this one. So I've already got meetings with Tara and
Just
in
give
the
us
fire
a
department in
checkbook.
Cleveland. So
Let me, can I comment a little bit about, I know a few things about generators because that's part of what I do. I sell generators. In fact, I've got 4 appointments starting at 12 o'clock, which I'm going to be probably late for today. But I would encourage us to look strongly at putting backup power generators, permanent generators in locations that are throughout the county that have the ability to shelter, feed, and shower. Put those 3 things, because I know some of our shelters have the ability to cook and house, but they don't have showers. It's an expense, right? And we're spending a lot of money on other things, so we have to prioritize. So I would recommend that we make a priority for places that have those 3 things first, the 3 qualifiers: the ability to have showers, the ability to have housing or temporary housing, cots or whatever, and then the ability to cook food. Those 3 things are really, really important. And if we need to convert some community centers to add a shower, then we need to look at that as well. Because you think we've got community centers in almost every part of the county. And it wouldn't be probably too bad to add a shower to one. And that would give people a place to that they would know before the event. And I think that's the biggest thing. We don't expect something, like you said, to hit the whole county. And so we need to have a plan in place, and I'm sure we do, but so that people know, hey, if this happens, you go here. And they're going to have hot food, they're going to have water, they're going to have a bed for you, and they're going to have a hot shower for you. And if you need it, if your house is destroyed or whatever, I know there's a house in Moxon that got destroyed, and those people will be able to find shelter in a place that they could have food, water, and a hot shower. So that would be my recommendation, because these aren't inexpensive projects. But from what I've seen with the community centers like Swords Creek, Oak Grove, you could basically do it with a standard air-cooled whole home generator, because they're not extremely large facilities. When it comes to places like Swords Creek School, Copper Creek School, that's a different ball game, because you're talking about a whole bigger situation. Yeah, but there could be a situation like happened in Lake Laurel or something like that, where you've got an entire community displaced, and then you're talking about hundreds of people, which we would need a school facility like that to do that. But that's a whole different ball of yarn when you get into those big services like that. So
It is. And
We do have that process in place. There is a long checklist from FEMA, VDM, Virginia Department of Emergency Management, and the Red Cross. And we have to complete all those forms for each shelter before those are supported.
Right.
Then we designate that shelter, and it goes on the FEMA and VDM records as being a approved shelter.
Yeah.
And it has to be an approved shelter before the Red Cross can provide management and food and other services to that shelter.
So whatever we need to do to help get more of those, I guess, throughout the communities, we need to look at. And I'm sure there's grants to do this work, to get the generators, to get the showers set up, so.
we just
Definitely.
added to Jared's list.
Yeah, congratulations. Welcome aboard.
I mean, we are already, in the process of working on these things.
Okay.
We actually came to this board, I want to say in June,
You did.
for a grant that we applied for that is an emergency shelter upgrade grant. And that is going to provide a backup generator for the Dane Community Center and Dane Rescue Squad. And the reason we're able to do that is because both those sit on the same county property. The only issue that comes in with that grant is it has to be on a county property.
Yeah.
So that's where it makes it a little sticky when you get into
Community
the churches and things.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
We would love to be able to do that. It would be, it'd be good to do that, but that does make it a little bit more red tape to try to figure out how to work.
Let's make sure that unit goes in and Dane's elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't need that washing out.
Yeah, our plan is to apply, hopefully be able to apply for that grant every year when it comes around.
Yeah, we need to start, chipping away at that list.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Give an example, we could lease the Green Valley Baptist Church gymnasium, which is already an approved shelter.
Okay.
So, but that is a church property, but we could lease it for $1 a year
As a backup shelter.
as our shelter.
Yeah.
That's our
As a shelter.
here. But
Yeah.
if we wanted to get a generator for that facility, $1 a year lease would cover that.
Yep. If the agreement between that and the church is.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, because they
They
have
can
a
do it.
separate gym than their church.
Sure, yeah.
can.
I live right across the street, so I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well,
all
you
those
wanna
are
move on?
eligible, so is yep.
We try to get finished by noon.
Okay,
Get Nate out of here.
okay, where am I? Okay, declaration of emergency, we pass that, is in discussion, okay. CDGB grant on Tiller Trailer Park, the water line extension project. This is a 100% grant funded project. I need a motion on
To accept.
to accept this grant for the Tiller Trailer Park.
So moved.
Have a motion? Second?
Second,
Any
yeah.
discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none.
Okay. Again, with another grant we got from the Virginia Supreme Court of Virginia for the Community Work Program, Workforce Program of $68,570, which is a very good program. They helped us out during this storm too. I need approval for.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to approve that grant. All in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Okay. Next is the Appalachian Agency for Senior Citizens appropriation request for $4,330. As you can see in your packet, they're only asking for 1%. They're adding an additional bus to our routes. So the bus is $400,000. They're only asking for 1% appropriation. So we're looking at those routes. So if your district needs it, I know we got each additional going into Cleveland and Honaker. So if
So
you
you
look
need
at
a
your
motion to
routes,
approve that.
I need a motion to approve the $4,330.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next thing is we don't need any more, but we did need it while it was there. Of course, they'll tell you, is Russell County burn ban termination.
Motion to terminate. Second.
I think we've got enough water.
I have a motion to terminate and a second. All in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. There are none.
The last item on county administrator request is the travel request, which is the finance for training for the treasurer and the board. I asked for that we table this due to the storms and personal reasons. We were going to delay the training to its more appropriate time.
Motion to table.
Second.
I don't think we need a motion, do we? Yeah,
No.
We'll just table it.
Just table it.
Okay, board discussions. If we can make them brief. Nate, we'll start with you.
I guess I've said what I need to say.
Okay, Rebecca?
No, I can't think of anything, but I do want to thank all the folks that's been out helping our people. It is a sad time for us, but we have pulled together, and that's what we do. So I'm proud of everybody in Russell County.
David?
Yeah, I'd like to, I know a lot of times we don't give kudos to people that work very hard, tirelessly, on particular projects, but the Cumberland Plateau Commission, and Lou served on that, she knows. I mean, it's a very good thing that we have for our region through the Cumberland Plateau. But some of the members, I want to give kudos to Tara, Di, and Nate that sit on the community part of that board. That I know I stayed in communications consistently with Tara to make sure this happened, and I want to make this announcement that Phase 2 of the River Bend Campground, the town will use funds to increase Wi-Fi capabilities, expansion of 2 additional campsites, additions to the playground, increased parking development, and new tent camping area, and they received through the Cumberland Plateau $50,000. Now, let me tell you something. These people are working really hard to get things in their districts and in their areas, and I am grateful. I mean, you know, if they have to wire your ear out or whatever to get things done, that's fine. Nate represents the whole county, and Tara, that's in her district, and they both have been like a dog on a bone, making sure that they get these things done and that these appropriations are fulfilled. So I really want to thank them. We did get this done, and I know there's some others coming up in Lou's district and some others coming up in other districts. We want to make sure that we support these opportunities so we can grow and continue to grow. Thank you.
Tara?
So first of all, I want to thank everyone, the first responders, linemen, the citizen volunteers that we had. You know, Russell County came out big and helped each other. You know, we really, really poured our heart out for each other, and that was just beautiful to see. It really made me even more proud to be from here. Sunday night, I was thinking about, and you know, several others up here have touched on this, thinking about how to be more prepared for the next current event, because, you know, we will have something else, whether it be, I mean, it may never be a hurricane again, but we're going to get some snows. We're going to be knocked out of power, and we have an aging population, a vulnerable population. And, you know, we all have our duties. We all know who the most vulnerable people are in our areas. And I think with this, it showed us that we do check on our neighbors, and we do love our neighbors. And you know, that's wonderful. And we do need to keep those people in our thoughts when something like this happens, you know. And I'd like to, you know, Lonzo touched on it. I'm going to have a meeting with him and our fire chief, and hopefully you, Jess, and then talk to some of the other board members about establishing those shelters and hopefully doing it quicker, figuring out, you know, working together to do that quicker. Because, you know, we need somewhere where we can have power, water, supplies, things like that, because we don't know what's going to happen. Stuff pops up. I mean, who would have ever thought that we would get hit like this with a hurricane? I mean, I honestly, when it was on the news, I thought, well, I'll just go about my day. It'll be a little rainy, it'll be a little soggy, a little windy. I'll be okay. Nope, not going to happen. So, we really, I'd like to work with and not just in my district. I mean, this is our whole county. Our mayors, fire departments, utilities. We, maybe work on some sort of reporting system so that we don't have any of the misinformation issues, and so that everybody's aware of what's going on. It just makes things a lot easier. Sometimes it's a little bit like the phone game. I'm calling Lonzo and Nate's calling me, and then Andrew's beeping in, and then here comes Peanut, and I'm like, oh my goodness, So we and not just for us, but for you guys as citizens to see what's going on and understand it. And you don't know that things are that they're needed until we have an event like this. This kind of showed some of our vulnerability. And to be quite honest, I'm very happy with how things turned out. I don't think that we had very much vulnerability exposed. I think we did really, really good. No loss of life, and God blessed us. We did not get hit the way that North Carolina and East Tennessee and Damascus did. And I'm so thankful for that. I really, really am. But, now, our power's being restored. We still need to take care of the people who have lost a lot of food, still need to be checking on our neighbors, and we need to start looking and seeing how and we already have been, but Damascus, Irwin, Asheville, we need to start looking at them, see how we can help. And, go home and hug your loved ones. Right. There's so many people out there that got hit so much worse than we did. I think about the little 6-year-old and his mama and papa, and the mama just watching him wash away. We didn't have to deal with that. And thank God. But that's all I want to say before I start crying. Thanks.
Lou.
I do have a few things. I want to thank the folks in District 2 who really stepped up, and we supplied meals. I think we're well over a couple of hundred. I thank the Department of Corrections and the Sheriff's Office for seeing about us, and the county for stepping up with a generator. We had a command center outside, but by Georgia, we had power and hot showers and hot food, and it worked. Now, if it had been in the wintertime, that would have been a different story. We would not have the command center that we did in my district. Also, I've set up a relief fund through True Point Bank in St. Paul, and this is not to overstep or be overbearing on anybody else, but this is a fund that some friends of mine have called me and asked me how they can help. They want to send money, and that could eliminate some problems that we're having with replacing of refrigerator foods, that sort of thing, because insurance is not going to take care of your $200 is probably all you're going to get to replace your food. You could have a freezer full that could be $1,000. And so these are the ways that my community wanted to step up. So the DCA, Dank Community Association, which is the only nonprofit at the time that I can use. So that's what we're doing. So we're looking at relief funds that will go to not just District 2, but it will at first. But when that's exhausted and there's funds left, we will be helping to distribute money to somebody else if there's money left over. I also had a conversation with Travis Milton, the James Beard Award-winning chef that's at the Nice Wonder facility in Bristol. He is part of the World Kitchen Organization. They supply food to Ukraine. They supply food to everybody. They were cooking some of the meals that actually came here. They're looking at numbers, which I've already reached out to Jared and Jess about these numbers. They need these numbers so that they can put Russell County on their list. And so we will have access to the World Kitchen. You guys can Google this. It's quite some big. Travis told me he has lots of money. They must be flush with money. So that's an avenue that we can plug into, not just for us, but for everybody. So thank you, everybody, again. We appreciate you so much. And I will say this is a little funny, and I think we all need to laugh. The last time I talked to Lonzo, he assured me that if he had a porta potty anywhere in Russell County, it would have a generator on it.
We could have used it.
We have really harassed you about generators, have we
Oh,
not?
Lord. Mine's power is still not on. I've been taking cold showers for the last 2 weeks.
Andrew, you have anything?
I just, no way I could thank everybody, so I'm not even gonna go through the list. But, if you see me walking towards you, don't run off and say, what's this crazy guy want before I can thank you. I might just be coming to shake your hand and thank you. And, next thing is, the USDA, the Farm Services Agency back here, they're, working right now to get some storm relief for our farmers. That's gonna be fencing, livestock, barns, timber, it's a number of things, so I've been told. I haven't got a chance to get out there and meet with them. I'm gonna try to do that this week to see where we stand on that. And, we'll be getting that out on Facebook. Lonzo?
Yes, sir. Just a key note, we've evaluated $6.5 million in damage on the farms right now. That's what they're doing. That's their evaluation.
That's so far, so
Yes,
that could go up, I'm assuming. Last thing I got, and then I'll hush, is we was trying to do one of the food bank things like what was done out here feeding Southwest Virginia, somewhere over in that Castlewood area. And based on Mr. Lester today, we've decided probably the fairgrounds is the safest spot because of traffic flow. So stay on the lookout for that. That's going to be for everybody on that southern end of the county. And there is people that will come from Wise County, but as far as my understanding is, you show your ID and you'll be fine if you're a Russell County resident to come through. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I've already said my piece. I just thank everybody for coming out today. We appreciate you. And have a good rest of the weekend. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.